Average Joe's Eatery and Patio Bar is North Bay's only year-round lakefront restaurant. On the shores of beautiful Trout Lake, we have been serving delicious food and stunning views since 1999. Indulge in one of our delicious menu items or simply sit with a cocktail in hand and watch the beauty of Trout Lake before your eyes. Check us out online at averagejoes.net or visit us in person at 3501 Trout Lake Road, North Bay.
As a Canadore College alumni, you have access to perks. Canadore Alumni Perks. This is a lifetime membership that includes special access to great offers, opportunities to get involved, and so much more. Graduates can access discounts and special offers from businesses and hotels locally, across Canada, and internationally. Get information on special events and news, or access the alumni job portal. Keep in touch with Canadore's alumni office. Visit canadorecollege.ca/perks. Great things happen here.
You rely on your vehicle to take you to the places that matter most to you. So bring your vehicle to the team you can rely on to keep it running at its best. Dave's Automotive Services. Whether you're getting your car or truck ready for the season with a tire change, making sure you're safe on the road with an inspection and certification, or doing your due diligence to keep your vehicle in tip-top shape with regular maintenance, Dave's Automotive Services has you covered. Expert troubleshooting, quality repairs, and time-efficient labor are the 3 stars of service you can expect when you bring your car or truck to Dave's Automotive Services at 411 Airport Road. Call 705-478-5544 and book your appointment today.
The Frontline Podcast, Season 3. Courtney Kenny, Matthew Sukram, Derek Lindemann, Bob Coles, and Ben Long bring you closer to your favorite teams like never before. Covering everything to do with hockey in the North Bay area, exclusive interviews with the North Bay Battalion staff and players, expert analysis on the OHL, NOJHL, and more, keeping you up to date on all things Voodoos, Trappers, Lakers, and more. It's a new season, it's a new adventure. The Frontline Podcast Season 3. Available wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Average Joe's Eatery. Average Joe's, where we want your experience here to be a happy one. 3501 Trout Lake Road.
Good afternoon, friends, and welcome inside North Bay Memorial Gardens as you are watching Battalion Hockey here on the front line. This afternoon's matchup features the Sudbury Wolves come clawing their way into North Bay to take on the Central Division leading North Bay Battalion. I am your host, Derek Lindemann, and your pregame show is brought to you by...
The pregame show is brought to you by La Huerta Imports, family owned and operated since 1995. Visit lahuertaimports.com for more details.
The Sudbury Wolves are in town, just coming down to rejuvenate the Highway 17 rivalry, in which sees the North Bay Battalion currently leading that rivalry 3-1, and this will be the 5th matchup, 4th in the last 30 days, as they really get acquainted here. Last time the Wolves were in town, it was the Battalion coming away with a 7-4 victory. A 7-3 victory that afternoon, and the Battalion looked to get back on the win side of the column as they've lost their last 2 games. Ben Sargent, Battalion haven't looked good in their last 2 games and really looking to get off to a quick start tonight against the Wolves.
Yeah, obviously we saw them when they played Hamilton. They didn't play the best game that they could have played. They ended up losing that one in overtime. Ironically, it was because of defensive mistakes that they made from Ty Nelson, which ended up with the game-winning goal there. So coming into yesterday's game against Mississauga, Charlie Robertson gets the start, and the biggest story away from that game was goals early in the game. If you look at the very beginning of that game, it was Mississauga who scored right away in about 19 seconds into the hockey game. The latest that they scored a goal was in the second period with 3:46 gone in the second period. So they gave away a lot of goals early on, and their power play was, well, they were 3 for 9, but they had 9 opportunities to get it going. And they did score 3 goals, but power play was, again, one of those things where they just couldn't find enough at the back of the net.
Last time these two teams met was on the 11th of January, and it was the North Bay Battalion coming away with a 2-1 shootout victory that evening over the Sudbury Wolves. And getting that start for the Sudbury Wolves was Kevin Broussard. That was his first game as a Wolf, and he'll get the start again tonight.
Yeah, and Broussard is coming off a game when they last played. He didn't start their last game, but the game before when they played Niagara in a 6-4 win, he was actually pulled from that game. At the time, Sudbury was up 4-1, and the the Ice Dogs ended up scoring 2 goals kind of back-to-back in the span of a few minutes. And on 14 shots, 11 saves, he was pulled. Krawchuk came in, shut the door, and it led for a Sudbury win. So Brassard's coming back. Here's a guy who's claimed off of waivers from the queue from Drummondville. He kind of takes over the role that Joe Ranger had, who he was put on waivers and then picked up in the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League by London, as he's had a couple of good starts so far with an under 2 goals against average. But Brassard comes in here. He's been decent, but the thing with Brassard to understand is that he's a guy who he doesn't always make the saves that he should make. He's definitely a goalie that has had some issues making simple saves, and he does have kind of an issue with the glove side and blocker side up high. So that's going to be something that the Battalion are going to look to take care of today.
Well, if they're listening to this, they're definitely going to know where Brassard's weaknesses are, as you want to go top shelf. But couple players that don't have any weaknesses, and we're going to focus on them as they are our Mike Financial Advisors player to watch of the game for today.
Players to Watch is brought to you by Mike the Financial Advisor. If you have financial questions, he has financial answers. On Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Mike the FA.
Our players to watch for the Sudbury Wolves is Alex Ferran, and for the North Bay Battalion, we're going to focus on Alexander Lukin. 2 good players and a lot of exciting hockey these two put out there. Let's start with Alex Ferran, Ben.
Yeah, if you look at Ferran, he's on a line with Villeneuve and Boudreau. And Boudreau, what a time he's having. He's got 4 goals in his last 4 games. He has been on absolute fire, and he's worked really well in that kind of third line right now with Ferran. And I expect him again. Ferran's a guy that puts the puck in the net. He sets up his teammates, and it's been something that's been working with Sudbury. They've won their last 2 games, including a game against Hamilton, in which they won 5-2. And here's a guy, again, that's going to be a big part of this hockey game for the Sudbury Wolves.
Ferran kind of had the weirdest probably experience coming over to the Sudbury Wolves, as he was traded last year twice in a matter of a couple hours on the trade deadline, as he went from the Hamilton Bulldogs to the Peterborough Petes in that exchange for Mason McTavish, and then the Petes turned around and swapped him to the Sudbury Wolves for Chase Stillman. You know what? Interesting day for Alex Ferran, and he's going to be away at the Prospects game next week, and he's currently ranked 54th in the latest Central Scouting.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see that Prospects game. Of course, we talked about Charlie Robertson earlier, who's supposed to go there. Unfortunately, he did end up getting injured in that game, as that's what we've been told yesterday against Mississauga, though he did finish it, as it's McIver who gets called up from the North Bay Trappers. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Robertson goes. There's 2 people in this game that could potentially go to that game.
Yeah, and then looking at the North Bay Battalion player to watch, a kid that has a ton of fun out there on the ice, Alexander Lukin.
Yeah, and you got to love Lukin. Lukin's a guy who kind of got who kind of got taken when Winslow came back. Winslow's kind of taken a spot on that second line with Christopoulos. He's now kind of slotted down into that third pairing with Kennedy, and we've seen that when against Hamilton. I thought that Lukin played a really solid game with Kennedy. They're not guys who are going to necessarily get a lot of points. They're not going to score goals. They're not like Nelson or Christopoulos, where you have guys who just pinch all the time. They are a solid defensive duo, and sometimes you kind of need that when you need 2 guys at the back end who can be solid defensively. And we've seen them join up in the rush before, but I think Lukin and Kennedy, they made a couple of good plays in that Hamilton game.
Lukin was kind of that odd man out on the decor last year, eventually getting set for the final couple of games of the playoffs. Looks totally more comfortable now to the North American game, coming over from Russia, as he's one of the 2 imports on the squad. And he's always having fun out there on the ice. When I'm between the benches, he's coming back with a big smile, always trying to communicate with his teammates and the opposition, sometimes really not making any sense in his broken English. But he's always asking. He's one of those guys that will ask you got photos of me? You photo of me? And you know what? He's a likable character on the bench for the Battalion.
And that's one of those intangibles. You don't see it on the score sheet. You don't see it when you're watching the game necessarily, unless you're specifically looking for it. But that kind of stuff can really help with team's morale, especially you imagine what he's like in the locker room and stuff like that as well. So I think with Lukin, he's a great addition to this team, and I think he's really found a spot on that third pairing with Kennedy.
Let's take a look at the North Bay lineup for tonight, because injury seems to be the talking point lately for the North Bay Battalion. We'll just run down quickly who is scratched from tonight's game. As we talked just moments ago, Charlie Robertson, who is out dealing with an injury, was injured Friday night against the Steelheads. unclosed really the length or the extent of that injury.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not too long. Obviously, he was able to finish that game, so I don't think it'll be too serious, but you never know. Sometimes you go in that, and then they go into the medical room, and the next thing you know, he's out for several weeks. Speaking of several weeks, we'll talk about this. Justin Ertl, another guy who he was injured in that Hamilton game, and right now they're saying it's an upper body injury, though I believe it's somewhere around his hand area that he was holding in that game. He did not come back in that third period, and he's going to be out for several weeks as well.
So that's going to be a big absence for the Battalion up front. Also still dealing with a lengthy illness is Liam Arnsby. Word is he is back in town and he's getting close to a return, and that will add a little bit of a spark to this lineup. And also dealing with a broken finger, Luke Bruskowski.
Yeah, and obviously, as we just said, there's a couple of big players that are out, but this is where the depth for the Battalion come in. Even with those guys out, even guys like Ertl, Brutowski, and Arnsby, this is still a very dangerous North Bay Battalion team, and this is a very deep team, but we're going to see a little bit of difference with that top line and third line here this evening.
Yeah, they're going to keep the lineup together of Petrov, Tarasevic, and Zito. Petrov, 4 goals in the last 2 games. He continues to be hot. The one big difference we're going to see is Romani is going to slot in on that right side, joining Jackson and Bloom on the top line, and McDonald moving down to the line with Wakely and Van Steensel.
Yeah, so I think this is more just kind of balancing your offense, right? McDonald obviously has played very, very well in his last few games with Jackson and Bloom. Another goal and another assist yesterday against Mississauga, both of those coming on the power play, of course, as 3 of their 4 goals did. But it's going to be interesting. Romani has played with Bloom and Jackson before. He's been in that spot. It's going to be interesting to see how he does in this game as well. And then obviously you see McDonald. He has played with Wakely and Van Steensel. Interestingly enough, last time he was on that line, in the third period, he was moved up to that first line. So we're going to see, is there going to be, if the Battalion struggle to score here in the first 40 minutes, are we going to see McDonald slot back up into that top line?
One of the players on that top line getting a lot of commotion is Josh Bloom. Hasn't registered a goal since December 28th against the Sudbury Wolves. He's a player that needs to get things going again, as he looked really promising after coming over from Saginaw.
And I would say this is kind of the same thing with the entire top line 5-on-5. It's done a really poor job of scoring goals on even strength, unless McDonald is on that line. And then McDonald was just finding the net every time he shot the bucket seam. But with Bloom, the good news is against Sudbury, he's got 5 goals in 5 games. And he's not been off the score sheet. He has been collecting assists here and there, so he's been collecting points. But as you said, that goal, the goals have just not come, especially for him and Jackson lately when it's been 5-on-5, and that's going to be something that hopefully that top line can get it going today.
Turning the specialty teams, the power play now currently ranked at the 8th position in the OHL. They're finally creeping up into that top upper half. We talked last week they were down around 14-15. Last week they had a 3-for-6 power play game. They went 1-for-1 Thursday when they were here, 3-for-9 on Friday. They're starting to turn things around on the power play, and a lot of that is due to Ty Nelson being set up for that one-timer from the left-hand dot.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the game, the little Ovechkin corner, and you might say 3-for-9, that's not that impressive for a team, right? You had 9 opportunities, only 3 goals. But the good thing is the Battalion have been slowly, as you said, they've been slowly getting a lot of goals on the power play, and that's going to be such an important factor. If you look at the 3 power play goals, one of them was what we saw Petrov tying the game with against Hamilton, a feed from behind the goal line right to that high slot above the hash marks, one-timer, goal. That's a huge one. Then we see Ty Nelson, both those goals, even though McDonald chipped in one home, both of them were feeding the puck down into the side. The thing that I love about Nelson is that you can either do it where you can cycle it around and he can pinch in, or what you'll see is you'll have everybody collapse to the right hand side, and Nelson will creep forward into that high slot for that really wicked one-timer, and he looks right at home. And man, if you're Seattle, you got to be really excited about that on a potential power play in the future. But that's going to be a big key, is continuing those options, but it's all about zone entry and getting to those opportunities first.
Tough part about going with that power play unit is the man that's quarterbacking it is Petrov, and if he gets left alone, it's really hard for a forward to really play in that defensive position.
And you talk about Petrov, man, he had the hat trick, and then yesterday another 3-point game. He still had a goal and 2 assists. In fact, the only 5-on-5 goal, which was scored by Pasquale Zito, was with that line of Petrov and Tarasevic. And I'm telling you right now, that line of Petrov, Zito, and Tarasevic has been absolutely amazing, and they're really have what been driving North Bay to how good they've been in this last stretch when they really haven't played as good as they should have.
No, and as we're preparing for tonight's game, let's turn our attention now to the goaltenders of the afternoon. Kevin Broussard, who was picked up on waivers from the QMJHL, he's going to make the start for the Sudbury Wolves. He comes in with a 1-1 0-2 record, a 363 goals against average, and an 871 save percentage. Broussard was brought in at the trade deadline, fills that overage card as Joe Ranger went to the London Nationals. Broussard not really hasn't shown why they brought him in yet.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's kind of interesting because he's been kind of like a one-for-one for Joe Ranger in kind of a way, where it doesn't seem like a huge upgrade from where Ranger was. Of course, he was put on waivers in the queue and came over here, but I think the interesting thing with Broussard is he's going to be trying to bounce back after a kind of a poor performance against Niagara, and we know that the Ice Dogs don't have a large offense and a lot of offensive presence. So when you're facing a team like the Battalion, who loves scoring goals, and we've seen it at home, they're so good. 7 goals in basically every home game that they play, it seems like. So Broussard's going to need his A game tonight. And it's interesting because right now, with Nate Krawchuk as his backup, they're slowly trying to get Krawchuk more games and more games. As he's a rookie, they're trying to build it up. But Broussard has a very important goal because Sudbury is hanging on to that 8th place right now in the East.
And making the start from the Battalion, Dom DiVincentis, in talking with him after Robertson was diagnosed with that injury, he wants to take the ball and run with it. He's saying he can play probably the next 5 games without a break. He comes into the lineup tonight, 22-6-1 on the season, a 256 goals against average, a 909 save percentage. And he's got to be perfect tonight to get that win back for the Battalion.
And this is what you get. This is what you need, right? Ryan Houlihan decided to start him against the Hamilton game and opted to go with Robertson in the Mississauga game. He played a solid game against Hamilton. He was just kind of hurt by the way that his team in front of him played. DiVincentis is the perfect guy. He's the guy that's going to get you back on this roll. Only 1 point in the last 2 games, and even then, you could argue that they were lucky to get that overtime point against the Bulldogs. So DiVincentis is exactly what they need, and of course, with Mike McIver coming over from the Trappers, he's not that bad either. But DiVincentis is going to have to put the team on his back a little bit, I think. Yeah,
and it will be interesting to see when Michael McIver might get his next start for the North Bay Battalion. Well, down at ice level, the North Bay Choral Society is on the ice. Tonight we're going to have both anthems as the Choral Society has been preparing for this afternoon for some time. When we return here on the front line, Courtney Kenny will join you, Ben, for all of your first period action as it's the Wolves Battalion on the front line.
Meals are a special time for families to gather, share their day, and spend quality time together. Those dinners are made extra special when you add tropical produce found in the markets and grocery stores that carry La Huerta imports. La Huerta knows the importance of family, so they know which quality products make the best quality meals for your customers, whether it be Mexican Hass avocados, Brazilian figs, Ecuadorian red dragon fruit, or something just as exotic and special. To get your supply of the best tropical produce at competitive prices with brands buyers trust, contact La Huerta Imports at 705-752-1478.
Community engagement is one of our core focuses at McDonald's. The key is finding the right people who are passionate about the same things we are, helping kids be kids. McDonald's proudly supports local organizations such as the North Bay Regional Health Center Foundation, Big Brothers Big Sisters, One Kids Place, the Children's Aid Society, and Ronald McDonald House Charities. Stop by McDonald's on 1500 Fisher Street, North Bay, to see how we can serve you and the community every day.
Hey there, I'm Mike the Financial Advisor. When you strip it down to its core and you take away all the industry jargon, I help people solve financial concerns. So if you're concerned that you'll never save enough to retire comfortably, or that your kid is going to graduate post-secondary $40,000 in debt, or maybe even that life is going to take a really unfortunate sideways turn and somebody is going to have to open a GoFundMe page for you and your family, I can help you prevent all of those things from happening. If you want to see how, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Just do a search for Mike the Financial Advisor. You should find me.
Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Average Joe's Eatery. Average Joe's, where we want your experience here to be a happy one. 3501 Trout Lake Road.
Good afternoon, and we welcome you inside North Bay Memorial Gardens for today's Highway 17 rivalry against the Sudbury Wolves and the North Bay Battalion. And the Battalion, I was just remarking to my color man here, Ben, just before, the Battalion have lost 2 in a row, getting a point at least in the one game, but it almost feels like the sky is falling for this team right now.
It does a little bit, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're chasing Ottawa so much, right? Ottawa right now, 64 points, the Battalion with 60. If they would have gotten a victory against Mississauga and would have picked up the victory against Hamilton in games that you would argue they should have, they'd be only 1 point behind the 67. So I understand that. I think for me personally, the more concerning thing right now is the play of this team, because yes, they've been winning, but they have not been playing very good hockey. They've been playing either the first half kind of poorly and really coming against the second half, but the games against 2 better teams in Hamilton and Mississauga, it's a little concerning. And yes, they play very good at home, but the last 2 games they played against Sudbury have not been great. 3-2 loss in Sudbury, and then 2-1 victory in the shootout against Sudbury as well, but 2 sloppy games. And they're going to pull out the Centennial jerseys and try and get a win here this afternoon.
Yeah, in the one game, the 2-1 victory over in the shootout, Justin Ertl scored the lone goal before the shootout for the Battalion. He's not in the lineup today. But here we are underway at North Bay Memorial Gardens. The Wolves in their visiting whites are going left to right. The Battalion in their home black and golds here as they wear their alternate jersey are going right to left. And those jerseys, every time I see them, they do look sharp. As we get a puck into the Battalion zone, McCallum, who's thorn in the side and public enemy number 1 of the North Bay Battalion, gives the puck to DeGrazio, who takes a quick shot, and Dom DiVincentis stops that one, getting a stoppage there.
Yeah, and we talked about early starts. If you look at that game, all 3 periods in that game against Mississauga, it was the Steelheads who came away with goals in basically the first minute, including 3 goals unanswered in the second period against them in the first 4 minutes of that second period. So this is going to be very important. It's going to be the starting and the first 5 minutes of the period for the Battalion.
Well, first in that game, every single period they allowed a goal within the first couple of minutes too, right? So definitely, like you mentioned, the start is going to be imperative here for the troops. As the Wolves with the puck in their own zone lose it to McDonald, though, as we see the troops kind of moving their lines around a little bit, moving the Petrov, Zito, Tarasevich to number 2, and Steensel, Wakely, McDonald to number 3, which is, as Wakely comes away with the puck right now, looking out front for McDonald. McDonald also off that top line, gets the puck back to Christopoulos, takes the shot, Broussard knocks that one aside. And I have to say, I mean, it's just basically paperwork at this point, but I mean, it's still the same lines, minus Romani going up to the first line. However, I got to see Broussard in action against these troops a couple of weeks ago. He was impressive. His numbers might not tell the story, and it was one game, but he was very impressive, stopping all but 1 shot against the Battalion.
And Broussard kind of has 2. He either has a really good game, or he has games where, he should probably make a couple of saves, and that's where we're talking about. He's very beatable, especially in the top area, which is something that the Battalion struggled with in their last game against Hamilton. They couldn't get pucks into the corner area of the net, and that's going to be another thing. Can their forwards kind of find those corners here this afternoon?
Puck given away to Jackson. Jackson can't get it over to Bloom, though. And now the Wolves get the puck down the ice into the Battalion zone on a makeshift 2-on-1. Over to Goyette. Can't get the pass to drop in front of him. And it's into the side of the Battalion zone. Bloom now with the puck. He's looking to get off the schneid a little bit. Pointless in his last couple. Last points came last Sunday against Flint with 3 assists. And Bloom hasn't scored since December 28th against, surprise, surprise, these Sudbury Wolves.
Yeah, 5 goals in 5 games for Bloom, though. So if there's any team that he can get off this break with, it's going to be the Sudbury Wolves.
Bit of a different looking net, though. He's used to seeing Joe Rangers. Now Romani gets the puck. Gets it back out front for Jackson. Jackson can't get a shot to go. And Romani gets the puck again beside the net before Conyon picks it up. Conyon loses it. Hislop picks up the puck, gives it to Kennedy.
Yeah, I think that's a shot, though, with Romani that you got to take that, especially with the way Broussard has been playing lately. And
yeah. That's the thing that we've seen about this Troops team is that they like to make one too many passes, it feels like sometimes. As now the Wolves have the puck down in their own zone. That's Coughlin. He loses it. Hislop with it now. Stops things up. Gets the puck quickly up ice through Procession. Procession over to Terrian. Terrian tries to find Procession in front of the net. And Procession falls into the net, taking the net completely off. And there's a gentleman we haven't seen much of this year at all, and that's Brett Bouchard out there, number 23 in your programs at home.
Yeah, Bouchard getting the start here, obviously with a number of injuries for the Battalion. Mostly to Justin Earl is going to be the big reason why he gets the start, but it's kind of nice for him to get a little bit of ice time. But as you said, yeah, he's going to be able to get into that fourth line. Not a lot of ice time, but he's going to get some opportunities. We talk about how Terrian and Procession do a really good job in that fourth opportunity, getting a lot of good scoring opportunities. They've got a lot of speed down there.
Mm-hmm.
They're both not the traditional fourth liners, that's for sure.
No, not at all. They've been impressive this year for sure. Bouchard getting a good stick in, getting a couple of good whacks. Can't get the puck though. Chromiak loses it. Terrian just takes it before he gets rolled over by Coughlin. You know, Terrian's going to take a note of that one for later on. And now looking up ice, that was Collins sending the puck down the ice. Christopoulos trying to be the first one on it. He does get a touch on it before he leaves it for Tarasevic. Tarasevic behind his net gets it up to Petrov on the near side wall. Petrov switching plays with Tarasevic, gets it up to the neutral zone. DeGrazia steals it though before they send the puck down the ice. And then Zito chasing after it, can't get to it. Tarasevic battling for it on the near side wall, along with Zito and Petrov. Can't keep the zone. And now it's Broussard playing the puck in the trapezoid behind his net.
Zito makes that line so much better with the amount of speed that he brings in. He creates a lot of good opportunities. We've seen it happen on the power play as well, of getting the pucks into the zone, that zone entry that we talk about so much.
Well, we'll have to see how that power play goes for the Battalion. It has moved up a little bit.
Yeah, I think they've really found their stride with the way that Nelson and Petrov have been playing lately.
Now coming in with a chance here. Here's the Battalion over to Petrov. Petrov's shot. Tarasevic might have had the great lane to shoot, again taking another pass. And then Petrov's shot was knocked off the skates of Zito, so it never even saw the net. Battalion looking dangerous here early, though, 4 minutes into this game, although the shots are 1-1. Puck sent down the ice. That'll go for icing against the Wolves as Hislop's the first one back. And now the Battalion will get an offensive zone draw coming up.
Well, again, we talk about that line, that Petrov Zito Tarasevic line. It's the only line that scored on the on 5-on-5 against Mississauga, and it was Zito who ended up getting that one. But this line's worked very well together. In that goal against Zito, it was a set play right off the boards that Zito picked up, and all three of them have really, really great chemistry together. And even when Arnsby comes back, I really hope that line does not get broken up.
We'll have to see what happens when Arnsby finally gets back. Still dealing with an illness. Van Steensel with the puck to Wakely. Wakely at the side of the net takes the shot. Broussard knocks that one away, and it's up and over the glass and out of play.
Yeah, but when what I would imagine right now with Ertl being out, again for several weeks, so we're probably not going to see him until the end of February, maybe early March. I can definitely see Wakely slotting into the Tor McDonald back up to that top line, Romani moving back down to the fourth line. But I think that's probably going to be the most common thing with Wakely going back to the wing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure where these guys go, where these guys slot, and that's kind of an embarrassment of riches for the troops as the puck is knocked up and over the boards and out of play once again.
Yeah, and outside of maybe Petrov getting injured, there's not really anybody on this team, I think, who, if they do get injured, it would be a huge loss for the Battalion. I only say Petrov because he's been so clutch lately for the Battalion, as, of course, he's been kind of the main scoring threat, obviously, for the Bulldogs that single-handedly got them a point.
Yeah, Coach Houlihan was very emphatic about that after the game Thursday, talking about Matvei Petrov, saying he's the reason why they got a point. He's not. Hard to argue with his logic. Dom DiVincentis did look good as well at times in that game. Nelson now looking to make amends maybe for his giveaway in that game Thursday that resulted in an overtime goal. Gives it to Wakely. Wakely takes the shot. Broussard turns that one aside. McDonald comes in, gets the rebound. Broussard thought he had it. And now the puck comes out front, and Broussard can't hold on to the puck again. That's twice it was under his glove, and the Battalion were able to knock it loose. Lucan takes a shot. Broussard grabs that one with the glove and says, "You're not getting this one."
It looked like McDonald got a tip on that one too, so that's a nice save from Broussard. But Yeah, like great opportunities there for the North Bay Battalion, as not able to kind of get it, but that's what we talked about Broussard, is a kind of an inability to cover the puck up, rebound control. These are the kind of situations where you can get a lot of great opportunities, and McDonald's been absolutely fire as well. And we talk about Ty Nelson too.
Yeah.
He had another goal and assist again. In fact, he could have had 2 goals. McDonald's goal on the power play was kind of a chip in off of Nelson's shot on the power play. Nelson's been very good, but he's still learning, and you can tell that from his defensive game, as he's made a couple, not all the time, but every once in a while he'll make defensive miscues, including 2 big ones against Hamilton.
And I mean, that's just part of someone finding their game when they're a young defenseman. You have to remember, this kid's still 18, 19, right? So Lucan with the puck in his own zone. He gets run into by Lerman. And now the puck comes out front. Lucan usually dishing out big hits with a nice little move to get away from another Lerman shot, DeGrazia shot on that one. But it'd be interesting to see if he takes the number of that one too, as that's been a couple of big hits against the Troops here early on. Jackson battling for the puck in his own zone, gets it back to Lucan. Lucan looking up ice, flips the puck down, looking for Bloom, but that's going to miss everybody and go down the length of the ice, but no icing as Chromiak's the first one back there. Bloom throwing his weight around, but the Wolves can't get the puck out of the zone as they try to flip it up and out, and Winslow stopped it. Jackson behind his net, skating around, looks back to the point for Christopoulos, gives it to Winslow. Winslow, cross ice to Jackson. Jackson takes the shot, and they can't get the puck to get to Broussard, but they have Broussard down and out if there was a rebound chance. Puck coming in on DiVincentis. He plays it away. McCallum trying to slide it in. On the wraparound, another chance comes across for Walton. And the Wolves looking dangerous on maybe a play that DiVincentis should have just covered up.
I think he was trying to say, oh, is that going to go for icing? And obviously that's one they probably should have just put his glove on, as you said. But, yeah, DiVincentis getting away with one, almost a great wraparound chance, and then had an absolute perfect chance at the hash marks as it ends up going high. But overall, not pretty sloppy. But the Battalion, we talk about this top line of Jackson Bloom and now Romani on it, but Jackson Bloom have to get something going 5-on-5. Most of the points that they've been getting lately have been coming on the power play, and they haven't looked super dangerous. They've been getting opportunities, but they just haven't been able to finish. And that's something that I think if you're Ryan Hulan, you're kind of looking at it and saying, we got to get these guys going. If this line can go like Petrov and Zito and Tarasevic, that's going to be dangerous.
Dangerous indeed as the puck comes in. Wolves looking for another chance from Walton, but he couldn't get the handle on it as Nelson gets the puck and sends it up ice away to Petrov, but they can't get the puck out of the zone. Another good chance comes in by Goyette, and Goyette's not somebody you want to see taking shots from the slot. The Seattle Kraken prospect. 3 of them in this game with Goyette, Nelson, and Jackson. Nelson now with the puck, gets it quickly up to Zito. Over to Petrov. Petrov takes the shot. It rides up Broussard. Nobody can knock the rebound in. Zito gets a second whack at it. Can't get it to go. And now beside the net, that was Petrov that tried to shovel that one in backhanded, but Broussard stands tall on that one. And if you get Broussard going early, he's one of those guys you don't want to see get into a rhythm, and he looks like he's in one right now.
Yeah, one of the things that the Battalion really struggled with against the Hamilton game was the inability to finish. They didn't have great shots. When they were getting the puck on net, they weren't that great. And we're kind of seeing that same thing with against Sudbury here, where there have been a couple of opportunities, but they can't get a good shot in on Broussard. And Petrov had a solid chance there, but every time they kind of get him sprawled out, they have that top of the net open. They just can't get a good handle on the puck.
Waiting for the draw here on the far side in the offensive zone for the Troops. They get it back quickly. That's Yearwood. Knocks it up to Coughlin. Coughlin takes a shot at Hislop. Knocks him down. Coughlin's going to be a thorn in the Battalion side moving forward. I can foresee that, but it doesn't take a crystal ball to see that one after a couple of big whacks here in this one. Procession nearly loses it to Yearwood. Instead he gets it up to Bouchard, and Bouchard sends the puck down the ice. Toure is the first one on it for the Wolves, though, being harassed by Terrien. Toure behind the net to Collins. Collins twisting and turning, gets it back to Toure. Toure up the ice. Kennedy tries to stop it, and Procession, who was giving him backup, goes off for a change with Wakely. Collins behind his net. Looks slowly up ice. The Pittsburgh Penguins prospect has Bouchard draped all over him, but he's able to come away with the puck. But Bouchard's still not letting him go. Toure looking up ice. Gets it to Ferrand, who's about to go to the top prospects game. And now it's Kennedy with the puck. He's taken hard into the boards. And then they send the puck up to Van Steensel. Van Steensel sends it rink wide. Nobody's there, though. And now it's back to Wakely in the zone. His pass was basically a shot on DiVincentis, but Lucan stopped that. Now Lucan looking up ice as the Battalion can't get out of their own zone. McDonald. They had the puck that entire time but couldn't get up the ice, and they finally do. And now it's back to the Wolves having the puck as Mania sends it up ice. That's Robinson now. Robinson looking to take a shot, can't get it to go. Instead sends it down behind the net. Wakely up the ice to McDonald on the half wall. McDonald sends it down into the neutral zone. Robinson gloves that one down and sends it right back into the Battalion zone. DiVincentis comes out to play the puck. Leaves it for McDonald. Now McDonald decides to take it up the ice as a one-man army. Chips it in. Chases after it. Now he's behind the net. He scored the shootout winner in that game against Sudbury. And now we're going to get a penalty here on a high stick as Jackson got hit with the stick up high. So the Battalion will be going to their first power play here. And we'll have to see how Sudbury responds on the penalty kill.
And we talked about how good the power play has been lately. Again, you can't just look at yesterday being 3 for 9. You got to look at what they did very well. And what they did was the command of the puck underneath by the goal line and getting that up to that high slot for Petrov, getting it back to Nelson. But Nelson's definitely a guy who's going to pinch into that Ovechkin kind of spot right in the top of the circle. And that's something that we're going to have to be watching for here. But how are the Battalion going to set this up?
Petrov with the puck over to Bloom. Quickly in for McDonald. He tried to find Nelson cross ice. Nelson would have had a wide open net to look at.
And that's what he's been doing, that little...
Bloom back to McDonald underneath the goal line. Back to the point for Petrov. Back to Jackson. Jackson takes a shot. Broussard knocks that one away. And the puck goes down the length of the ice. Minute 35. The Battalion power play has looked better as of late. They're 8th in the league at 22.3%. The Wolves penalty kill 73.2%. That's good for 17th in the league, although they do have 5 shorthanded goals. And the Battalion have given up 7 shorthanded goals.
Including one last night.
Puck back to Jackson. Jackson at the goal line. Skates it back. Gets it back to Petrov. Petrov cross ice to Nelson for the one-timer. And that one's blocked by Collins. Now it's Jackson on the far side. Jackson sends it back to the point. Nobody's there. Minute left on the power play. And that was just a sloppy play there by Kyle Jackson. Matvei Petrov skates the puck up the ice, gains the zone, sends it in behind the boards. Nelson's there to pick it up this time on the far side, but they lose it to Toure, and guess what? The Wolves get the puck back down the length of the ice. 45 seconds left. Here comes DeGrazia. DeGrazia couldn't get a good shot away as he was in on DiVincentis, and so far the best scoring chance on this man advantage has gone to the Wolves.
Yeah, DeGrazia sneaking behind Petrov there as he was trying to go off for a change, and that's the speed. We've seen that the Battalion do that all the time, and that time almost get caught themselves.
Zito with the puck behind the net. Gets it back to Wakely. Wakely on the far side wall. Skates it in. Van's on his pass out front. Now he leaves it behind for Van Steensel. Van Steensel back to the point for Nelson. 12 seconds left on the man advantage to Zito. Zito takes the shot, and it's off his stick and out of play. So 8 seconds left. It looks like the Battalion are about to go down 0 for 1 on the man advantage.
Well, we know that Sudbury, they're right now sitting at 8th. They're a couple of points ahead of Oshawa right now. I believe it's 5 points
we have it
ahead of Oshawa.
right here.
Yeah,
Yep.
5 points ahead of Oshawa. But it's a very tight spot between them and Mississauga and Kingston, who's stuck at 44 points. Only 5 points the difference between them and 5th place. They have a lot to play for. They're playing very aggressively today against the Battalion, and that's something that they've been struggling. The Battalion have been struggling to defend against is a lot of pressure in the defensive zone.
Speaking of pressure in the defensive zone, as we're back to 5-on-5, Goyette battling with Christopoulos behind the net. Gives it to Zito, though. Van Steensel now looking up ice. Sends it in on Broussard. Broussard thought about playing it, but with Wakely barreling in, he decides to freeze the puck, and that'll take us to our mid-period break. We'll have Derek Lindemann on the other side of these words from our sponsors. This period is brought to you by Canada Alumni Perks. Get information on special events and news, or access the alumni job portal. Visit canadacollege.ca/perks for more information. Well, Derek, the shots would indicate the Battalion have an advantage here, but it really feels like it's a very even game. What's your thoughts between the benches?
The same thing, Matt. Very even game. Neither team has really been able to establish any lengthy zone time possession. Battalion looked to come out a little stronger, making some quick passes on that power play. They were able to get a good opportunity on that first power play unit. Second unit didn't really do much. Things are starting to heat up as Bloom just having a few choice words with somebody on the Sudbury Wolves bench. We'll have to wait and see if that develops into anything, but it's going to take I think a little bit of interesting in this remainder period to get this Highway 17 rivalry reunited.
Well, Derek, I'm flattered that you think I'm as good at calling a game as Matt Sukram, so thanks for that. But we'll hear from you as we move on here, and we'll have to keep an eye on Bloom for sure. Thank you very much for your hit. And there's Tom Martineau making an appearance as well, so we'll have to watch out for him as well as things move forward. 8:41 here left in the first period. Nothing, 10-4. The Battalion lead in shots. Courtney Kenny and Ben Sargent here in the booth. Ben Long as well, our producer, and Derek Lindeman between the benches. As the puck,
he's fired.
He's very close, but I told him he's permanently rehired, so he might not get that chance again. Winslow with the puck in his own zone, skates it up and gets the puck up the ice. As we have some game noises coming through. Somebody might be fired as the puck is back in on the Battalion or into the Wolves zone. I know exactly what that was. As the puck's back to the neutral zone now, Christopoulos takes a whack on it, and now the Wolves have a 3-on-1. They can't get anything to go, though, as a pass across to Collins can't get to anyone. And now Jackson tries to get it out, but Goyette keeps it in. Goyette's shot blocked by Winslow and knocked down in front of DiVincentis, so it never got to him. And then they send the puck down the ice, and that'll go for icing with 7:51 left. The Wolves will get an offensive zone face-off.
Well, it's kind of an interesting game right now for the Battalion. They've had some great offensive chances. They haven't been able to finish. However, they've been very sloppy with the puck in their own zone, and they've given there's a couple of odd man rushes for Sudbury, but Sudbury hasn't really been able to get anything going in the offensive zone in terms of setting up and cycling. But a lot of their opportunities have come off turnovers in the in the Battalion defensive zone by pressuring to get turnovers and a couple of transition opportunities. So the Battalion need to clean those up as we head to the last 8 minutes of the first.
Speaking of the Battalion in their defensive zone, it's going to be Jackson who gets it on the far side corner. Sends it up on the far side to Romani. Romani up to Bloom. Bloom only has one to beat, and that's Mania, but he can't. As his shot hits Mania's stick and goes out of play. As that Bloom looked to have a little bit of speed and a nice set of passes from Jackson Romani up to him.
And you know that he's aware of how well he plays against the Sudbury Wolves, and he's very much aware of his kind of struggles to find the back of the net. So you know there's a little bit of a pep in his step here this afternoon, but we'll see if the Battalion can get something going here in this offensive zone draw.
Well, looks like the Wolves are going to get the puck out of their zone off that draw. Armand over to McCallum. McCallum can't get it past Lucan, though. Lucan loses it to Grazia. Now Armand's battling with it in the corner. But gets it back to the point for Toure. Toure's shot blocked. And then he takes down Petrov, or else Tarasevich would have been able to spring Petrov, but can't. Zito was trying to carry the puck through the neutral zone. Lucan runs down McCallum. And there we go. The Battalion answering back with a big hit. And now we're going to get a fight in the corner. Larmont and Lucan battling it out. This is the second time Lucan's had to drop the gloves with a guy on Sudbury trying to get his helmet off. Lucan getting some haymakers in there. Larmont equal to the task. As now we get the two of them as Lucan loses his helmet before he bowls over Larmont with a decisive victory there. And I guess when you dish it out, you can dish it out, but you can't take it, as the Battalion got their first big hit of the game back, and Larmont took exception to that one.
Well, he's our player to watch for a reason, and I didn't have that one on my bingo card of him getting into a fight this afternoon, but what a nice hit by Lucan, very clean, and then of course, if you're Ramon, you're just kind of stepping up for your teammate there, but Lucan's going to go off here for the next 5 minutes, so for most of the next period, but it's going to be a nice little pep, and hopefully that gets the Battalion going here in this first period, but it looks like there's going to be a penalty here. Maybe an instigation penalty. Yeah,
Lermont basically ran him down, it looks like, so we'll have to see who's in the box there, but we do have Derek Lindeman on the phone. Derek, what's the buzz between the benches after that fight?
You know what, things are heating up. It's Jock Bloom having words with Chase Coughlin, asking why he's not on the ice when Bloom is on, but Larman does pick up the extra 2 for instigating. And the Sudbury bench really not happy with the call, as the head coach McKenzie really having words with the official right here. So the Wolves still have to put a guy in the bench, but it's really heating up here as we still got 7 minutes left in this first period, Courtney.
Well, Derek, I know you talked about it brewing. What did it look like down there at ice level with that hit right in front of you, basically on the blue line on McCallum?
When I watched that hit, it was clearly shoulder to that chest. area of the column and nothing needing repercussion. But again, Flyman didn't like that look.
2-on-1 here. Ferran in alone takes the shot. Thank you, Derek. We'll get back to you here as once again the best scoring chance so far with the man advantage goes to the Wolves. 2 power plays in a row here as DiVincenzo stopped that one. There was a bit of a 2-on-1, then they got around the defenseman there. Jackson to Bloom. Bloom trying to knock that puck in. Can't get it out of the corner, and then they do. And Sudbury tries to get it up to the blue line, which they do. And it gets out as Petrov couldn't keep the line. So they do have Yearwood in the box serving those instigating minutes. And now the Battalion, again, sloppy on their power play through the first 45 seconds here. They had a lot of practice Friday night. Lord knows, Jackson sends the puck in behind the net. And now McDonald tries to get a hold of it as he can, but DeGracia gets the puck down the ice. And still through the first minute, the best scoring chance has gone to the Wolves twice on back-to-back power plays here for the Battalion.
Yeah, just some sloppy passing from North Bay right now as Sudbury's doing a really good job of pressuring them, and they're not used to that, and you can tell that it's really starting to affect them how they're playing the puck up the ice.
Zito carries the puck in, goes cross ice, gets it to Romani. Romani tries to get it back to the point for Winslow, which he does. Winslow cross ice to Wakely. Wakely takes the shot. That one's blocked by Toure. Romani now looks back to the point. How many times have they looked back to the point and nobody's there? Oh my goodness, 20 seconds left on the power play. I'm starting to sound like a broken record this year. Wakely up the ice, gives it to Zito. Zito tries to get it to Wakely. Wakely falling down, can't get a shot away, and then they give it away, and now it's a 2-on-1 here to finish off this power play with Goyette. Goyette takes the shot. DiVincenzo got a piece of it, and that one went wide of the net. 2 scoring chances here as now a Wolves player is knocked into the Battalion bench, and that is Boudreau, who, you know what, last year got into it with a couple of the Battalion players over some Russian slurs to Petrov and Lukin, so I'm sure he's real happy about being knocked into the Battalion bench. 2 power plays the Battalion have had, 3 scoring chances for the Wolves.
Yeah, you can't be happy for Ryan Newland right now with the way that the Battalion played in general, especially in this last half of this period where it's just been a lot of sloppy play. They don't seem to have a pep in their step right now. They're getting outskated by the Wolves, and you got to give a lot of credit to Derek McKenzie and the Wolves. They played a very aggressive game so far, and it's really paying dividends. Yes, they only have a handful of shots. I don't think the 4 shots are updated properly, but right now it's one of those situations where, yeah, Sudbury's done a really good job on the penalty kill, and right off the draw, Tarian kind of getting into it with Coughlin.
Well, Coughlin was whacking him all kinds of sorts, and nobody said anything about that, but well, Tarian went over the red line a little bit, and the Wolves didn't like that.
Coughlin getting his first goal, too, in the Niagara game.
Villeneuve with the puck. Another public enemy here after the last game the Wolves played. Sticking up for Quinton Musty, who's not here today. Puck sent back around the boards. Broussard playing it behind his net. And now the Wolves getting it out with Coughlin. Tarian was coming down on him. We'll have to see how that rivalry continues throughout this game. Christopoulos up to Tarian. Tarian can't handle it, but he does get the puck on the near side wall. Looks out front for Procession, and they can't get that one to go. Puck down the ice. Bloom tries to get it at Coughlin, now whacking his lob. I'm really not going to like this Coughlin kid now. Christopoulos, and gets it over to Villeneuve. Villeneuve tries to get it in front, and DiVincenzo stops that one. And we got the Reed Duffy School of Hockey on the other side of us here.
Well, it's kind of interesting because it looked like Villeneuve and I'm not too sure who the Battalion player was, but they were like hugging each other basically. There was definitely, I was expecting some sort of penalty there. As
Valentine's Day isn't for another month.
Yeah, I thought they were going to drop the gloves or something on that play, but that opens up a big chance. And one of the things the Battalions do is when they get into this kind of scrappy play, they tend to forget about the puck.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened in that play. DiVincenzo has to be the only one who's paying attention for the Battalion there.
Thank goodness DiVincenzo was paying attention. Could have been very bad if he wasn't. Battle along the sidewall now. He's coming in as Walton, but he can't hold on to the puck for very long, and now Winslow has it. Kennedy to McDonald. Out front for Walton. Another chance, and Conyon tried to bat the puck in, but he just missed the net. Jackson can't get the puck out of his zone as Walton has it again. He sends the puck in. Ferran knocks it into the corner. Conyon with the puck now on the far side wall. It's now back behind the net for Winslow. Winslow to Kennedy. Kennedy loses it, and Conyon shovels it back behind the net for Winslow to chase after. 3:10 here left in the first period. Nothing between these two teams, although Sudbury has looked like the better team. McDonald tries to send the puck into the middle of the ice for Boudreau, and now McDonald tries to get it again as Boudreau comes away with it. Boudreau takes the shot, it's wide of the net, and now it's DeGracia in the face-off circle, takes the shot, DiVincentis, and if the Battalion make it out of this period scoreless, number 31 in your program is the reason why.
Yeah, and you almost swear that they were coming off a back-to-back here. This is kind of the way that they're playing this first, not at the very beginning, but in the last, probably 10 minutes or so. It's been one of those games where they've had a day off, like they didn't play yesterday after back-to-back games against Hamilton and Mississauga, so it's kind of interesting that it'll be interesting to be a fly on the wall, I think, in between periods, as the Battalion are really not playing a solid defensive game, and that's the thing that's hurt them the most, as Sudbury's had quite a number of chances to score on DiVincentis. I would say the scoring opportunities are pretty relatively even, considering how many opportunities the Battalion had at the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. The Battalion did have a lot of chances at the beginning of the period, but they have looked poor since. Wolves keeping it. Boudreau shovels it up, and that's going to be called for a hand pass. Although Boudreau's going to argue that he got it with his stick afterwards, and I thought he did.
Well, this is a big game for both teams. Both teams are going to be facing Windsor next, as Windsor's in the middle of a kind of 5-game Eastern road trip, minus their last game against the Sioux Greyhounds, and they're hot. They're 9-1. They've won 6 in a row. They won 3 before losing to Sarnia before that as well, and this is kind of a big tune-up for North Bay. As we talked, they played 2 kind of relatively poor games against Hamilton and Mississauga, and you come in against Sudbury playing really well at home, and so far, then when your next game is against Windsor, this is not a good start.
Petrov with a shot off the skate, and that was off the skate of Anania and in on net on Broussard. And I think if you're Paul Christopoulos, you want some measure of revenge against your twin brothers team Windsor, as they were basically taken to school and taken to task against the Spitfires earlier this year. So to start playing poorly before the Spitfires comes in doesn't really bode well for Paul.
Yeah, and they're both at 60 points right now. So Windsor playing later tonight against Oshawa. I believe that game starts at 6. And both of them tied. If both of them end up winning or losing today, they'll go into that game with the exact amount of points, tied for second right now in the league.
Winslow trying to keep the line, can't. And now we're going to get a delayed penalty here against the Battalion. So, and now we get 2 people going after Winslow after the whistle. That's Yearwood and Coughlin.
I think it was a high stick on Ferrand as he's looking to see if he's gotten any blood, but still some more jawing after this penalty. We might get more penalties.
We get Zito hugging Yearwood. We get Tarasevich coming in for Coughlin. And Coughlin, like a typical Sudbury Wolf, skates away.
Well, the thing that's interesting here about the way that the Battalion play, when we saw this against Hamilton, when there weren't a lot of penalties called, it got kind of chippy. They tend to forget to play the game, and they tend to go a little bit more for revenge in a way. And that's something that happens with some of these teams that are younger. Remember, these players are still teenagers, young adults. They still haven't had that experience. But it looks like only the one penalty to Petrov and Lukin.
Lukin's still in there from the fight.
For the fight, yeah. So Petrov is the lone penalty there.
So the Wolves' 15th ranked power play at 20.4% goes up against the number 1 ranked penalty kill in the league at 86.1%. The Wolves have given up 10 shorthanded goals, and guess what? The Battalion have scored 11 shorthanded goals.
Tarasevich in the league lead with 3, tied. The league lead
yeah, he's looked good. He's looked good shorthanded.
Again, it's that speed, and it's interesting. We saw Sudbury do it against the Battalion earlier in this period. We'll see if the Battalion can kind of get a couple of good chances here shorthanded.
Wakely in for the draw, knocked down on the ice, but it's back to the point for Mania. Mania skates it in, sends the puck rink wide to Goyette. Back to Mania at the high slot, can't get it to go. Hislop picks it up and sends it down the ice, but it only goes as far as the neutral zone, with Goyette having Wakely all over him. Goyette finally back into his own zone, gives it to Mania. Minute 40 here left on the man advantage. Minute 50 left in the period. Wolves gain the zone, lose it. Hislop just sends the puck right back down the ice, and Broussard comes out to play it behind his net.
Really good start for the Battalion here on this power play, not letting Sudbury get set up so far, and we'll see if Sudbury can get any opportunities here in the next minute 20.
Christopoulos plasters DeGrazia along the boards on the far side wall, and then the Battalion just get a handle on the rolling puck and send it right back down. A minute 10 left on the power play.
Yeah, that's when we're Broussard kind of has to just send that puck into the zone there and try and get somebody on the other side. As Now here's a chance for the Battalion.
Bloom going the other way. It's too slow to develop, so the Battalion are just going to have to play keep away as Tarasevic does right that and sends it right back down to his zone for Nelson. Nelson cross ice to Kennedy. Kennedy looks up ice and sends it down the length of the ice. So 45 seconds left. If there's any kind of consolation for the troops here, is that their power play at least had some zone time.
Yeah, they just show you why they're so good, right? They don't even allow Sudbury to get in.
Bloom goes cross ice to Tarasevic. Tarasevic in, stops up, leaves it for Nelson. Nelson takes the shot. Bloom had the perfect opportunity for a rebound, but couldn't get it to go as it was on his backhand. And now with 20 seconds left, the puck's back down to the Battalion zone for Nelson. Nelson just sends that one right back down to the Wolves zone. 10 seconds remaining on the man advantage. 25 seconds here in this period. Nothing is the score. Chromiak to Konyan. The Wolves get the puck into the Battalion zone, but the Battalion quickly have possession. Getting it to Zito. Zito just pushes the puck up along the boards to try and stop it as we're back to 5-on-5. Petrov's on the ice. And now the puck is back to the point, and that'll do it here as the Wolves send it down the ice into their own zone. 3 seconds left here in the period, and it'll be 0-0 after 20 minutes of play here, although we did have a fight with Lucan and Larmand on the ice. So, shots on goal also 11-7 in favor of the troops. Ben, although it looked like on the shot clock the Battalion were the better team, I would argue Sudbury was for the majority of it.
I would say it started off the first 7 minutes or so, the Battalion were really good. They made a couple of mistakes, but overall they kind of dominated that game. And then, they were way too sloppy. They've got to pick it back up. The good thing is they had a really good first game against Hamilton and a bad second half of that game. Every other game that they've been great, it's been in the second half of this game. So there's a little hope there if you're a Battalion fan.
Here's hoping for sure. We'll be back on the other side of these messages with Derek Lindemann and Ben Sargent to take you through your intermission show. And as always, keep your eye on the front line.
Is North Bay's only year-round lakefront restaurant. On the shores of beautiful Trout Lake, we have been serving delicious food and stunning views since 1999. Indulge in one of our delicious menu items or simply sit with a cocktail in hand and watch the beauty of Trout Lake before your eyes. Check us out online at averagejoes.net or visit us in person at 3501 Trout Lake Road, North Bay.
As a Canadore College alumni, you have access to perks. Canadore Alumni Perks. This is a lifetime membership that includes special access to great offers, opportunities to get involved, and so much more. Graduates can access discounts and special offers from businesses and hotels locally, across Canada, and internationally. Get information on special events and news, or access the alumni job portal. Keep in touch with Canadore's alumni office. Visit canadorecollege.ca/perks. Great things happen here.
You rely on your vehicle to take you to the places that matter most to you. So bring your vehicle to the team you can rely on to keep it running at its best. Dave's Automotive Services. Whether you're getting your car or truck ready for the season with a tire change, making sure you're safe on the road with an inspection and certification, or doing your due diligence to keep your vehicle in tip-top shape with regular maintenance, Dave's Automotive Services has you covered. Expert troubleshooting, quality repairs, and time-efficient labor are the 3 stars of service you can expect when you bring your car or truck to Dave's Automotive Services at 411 Airport Road. Call 705-478-5544 and book your appointment today.
The Frontline Podcast, Season 3. Courtney Kenny, Matthew Sukram, Derek Lindemann, Bob Coles, and Ben Long bring you closer to your favorite teams like never before. Covering everything to do with hockey in the North Bay area, exclusive interviews with the North Bay Battalion staff and players, expert analysis on the OHL, NOJHL, and more, keeping you up to date on all things Voodoos, Trappers, Lakers, and more. It's a new season, it's a new adventure. The Frontline Podcast Season 3. Available wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Average Joe's Eatery. Average Joe's, where we want your experience here to be a happy one. 3501 Trout Lake Road.
And welcome back inside North Bay Memorial Gardens, where after one period of play, neither team able to solve the goaltenders who have been playing excellent tonight in goal. Through one period of play, it's the North Bay Battalion outshooting the Sudbury Wolves by a score of 11-7 in the shot category. A few penalties in that first period. Dylan Robinson went off for a high sticking at 9:06, and then Ethan Larman and Alexander Lucan decided to drop gloves and have a little dance show going on. Larman picking up an extra 2 for the instigator. And then it was Petrov going off at 17:46 for high sticking. Neither team able to score on the power play. Wolves 0 for 1 and the Battalion 0 for 2. 6 other games going on today. 4 of them currently on the ice at the moment. After one period of play in Guelph, the Storm lead the Frontenacs by a score of 2-0. In London, the Kitchener Rangers are leading the London Knights by that same score of 2-0. That also through one period of play. In Mississauga this afternoon, the Steelheads lead the Niagara Ice Dogs 2-1. And the other game currently underway is scoreless between the Owen Sound Attack and the Ottawa 67s. Later today, a 4 o'clock start in Flint. The Firebirds host the Erie Otters, and the regular Sunday night 6:05 in the Shaw as the Oshawa Generals host the Windsor Spitfires. Only one game in the NHL this afternoon, and that sees the Pittsburgh Penguins evened up with the New Jersey Devils. That is tied at 1 apiece. Getting back to here for the North Bay Battalion earlier this week, I had the opportunity, along with Courtney Kenny, to sit down with Kyle Jackson as he was the latest guest on the Frontline podcast.
We've asked a couple of guys now. The Sabres this year, are going with the personalized goal song kind of attitude, or at least at the outside of the season they wanted to. If you had the option, would you stick with the current goal song here in North Bay, or would you pick a specific song for yourself?
I think I gotta go pick a song for myself. That would be pretty cool. I think that would get the crowd going. And every guy would have their own one, so it'd be different every goal. So I would love that. Change it up a bit too. I think the goal song's probably been the same here for a little bit. So, but
It's the only goal song.
Yeah, exactly. So it's always good to change something up a little bit.
What would be your choice then?
There's a lot of options for a goal. It'd be tough. I'd have to do some digging. I don't know, probably good hip hop, maybe like A Boogie with the hoodie. He's a rapper. So yeah, some of that.
Okay. On that note, then we tend to ask this question, and people seem to know where we're going with it right afterwards. And it's only worked out with a couple of guys. But if you were out karaokeing, what would be your go-to karaoke song?
It'd probably be like a Katy Perry song, if I'm being honest. Maybe like E.T., like Extraterrestrial, something like that. Just a good party song.
Yeah, Ertl said any Katy Perry song. So
there you go.
I'm gonna Hislop and Wakely are the only ones to entertain us on this one, but would you sing a couple of bars of E.T.?
No. That's not my type of thing.
No, that's fair. Like I said, it's just been
Hislop.
Hislop and Wakely are the only ones to give in on that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, couple characters for sure. I love
it. Moving forward, or actually, I wanted to ask, because when I talked to Ertl last week, it was just before this happened, but I wanted to ask you, as a veteran on this team, and this team was kind of set early, this felt like the trades were done early, got out in front of the market and stuff. But when a trade deadline comes and goes for a team, is there any nervousness in the locker room, or for you guys, did you figure, no, we're pretty set here, nobody's leaving?
Yeah, I think that's kind of our mindset. Coming into the year, you're gonna want to make deals to improve the roster, especially when you got a good team and want to go for it. So there's always that in the back of your head, but at the same time, you kind of you want to welcome everyone in with open arms. Just treat them like they've already been there, and everyone that leaves, it's tough to say bye to them, but they're always moving on to good, better things. So it's just being good guys and letting everyone in, and then just kind of treating them all the same.
We always hear about how tough it is to say goodbye to some of these guys. You talk about SEMA and GoPro and Pods and stuff, but on a personal side with bringing in a guy with the caliber of like Bloom or Zito or Hislop or Bruskowski, how excited does that make you guys when you see those are the guys coming back?
Yeah, it's unreal. It's especially to see, for Bloom, for example, it's a drafted third round guy signed, captain of a team. It's just, he has all the things you want, and Hislop and him coming with him. And then, Bruiser, just a great stay at home defenseman. It's been unfortunate for him, injuries and stuff, but all these guys, they're really good players. So you get excited, and the first couple games are always a little bit tough, but then they get comfortable, and then you see really how good they are.
We in the fans and of course the media always play armchair GM and like to be like, oh, these are the kind of moves that we'd like to make. Do players, and I wouldn't ask you for specifics, but do players like you guys in the locker room ever get to play armchair GM yourself? Like, because I feel like it'd be a little bit weird when you're talking about your buddies type of thing.
Yeah, we know a lot of the guys around the league, so we talk, we kind of know what's going on with team to team, but other than that, it's just it is what it is. It's a business at the same time, so there's not much you can do about it. So yeah, you kind of just you let it go, and you let the GM and coaches do their thing.
So as you guys are still in the top 10, how much do you guys pay attention to those rankings throughout the season?
Not too much. It's nice to be ranked. It's like you said, it's a ranking, but that's really all it is. So it's just we just keep playing the way we've been playing. We know we'll have success, and we don't really think about it too much. We think that's probably the new standard to be in the top 10. We should be there every week. That's the type of belief we had in our team. So we just gotta keep doing that.
That was Kyle Jackson joining myself and Courtney Kenny this week on the Frontline Podcast. You can download that wherever you get your favorite podcast, whether it be an Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast. You can even watch the full episode on our Frontline YouTube channel, right where you're watching this Battalion game. Well, Ben, no scoring in that first period. It was kind of a start for the Battalion. They got out to that 10-4 shot advantage in the shot category, and since basically that midway point, the Sudbury Wolves have really been coming on strong, and things are starting to heat up on the ice.
Yeah, and the biggest difference right now is that we talked about the Battalion. One of the things that they do is they kind of play down to who they're playing against. We've seen that not bring their A game against some of these weaker teams, and it's kind of costing them. I think it cost them in Hamilton. I think it cost them in Mississauga, and I think it's starting to cost them here. Obviously, there's no score, but you can thank Dom for that one, as he had an absolutely fantastic first period. Yes, only 7 shots, but a lot of big saves in that period. One of the things that I find that Sudbury's done really well is they've created offensive pressure. They're forechecking hard. They're not giving the Battalion a breathing room at all when they've had the puck in their own defensive zone. And you see the struggle with the Battalion trying to get out of their own defensive zone in that case. And they've created turnovers. They've had a couple of odd man rushes. They're really doing a good job playing aggressively, and it's really affecting the Battalion. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to change that going into this second period.
I thought communication, especially on the back end, a couple times cost them opportunities. The first time was when Kennedy and Lucan went back to the puck. Nobody really knew who was to pick that puck up, and Kennedy, even though it was on his side, left it for Lucan, and Lucan got caught in behind his net, giving away a puck and taking a big hit. And then another chance, it was miscommunication between DiVincentis and the defender. Both of them coughing up the puck, and DiVincentis having to come back and making a slide across the ice to stop a wraparound opportunity. Communication, especially between the defenders to go get the puck, is very key.
And this is a game that I would expect if they were coming off a game yesterday, like Saturday night, they're coming into the game here, and they're kind of sloppy and they're slow. But that's not the case. Yes, they're playing 3 games in 4 days, but they had a day off yesterday. They're coming in. They should be French. DiVincentis did not play in that game. He's looking great, but everybody just looks sluggish right now. And again, I said this on the broadcast, but one of the things that happens is when games start getting chippy, we saw this in Hamilton with the lack of penalties calls. We've seen this today when Lucan got into the fight, and there were a couple of scraps after the play. The Battalion kind of forget to play the game, and they kind of focus too much on trying to make something happen physically, whether it's fighting or something like that. And when they start getting chippy, they play very sloppy. They need to figure this out going into the second period. And even though it's a 0-0 game, there could be multiple goals from both sides, but Sudbury outplayed the Battalion probably in about 12 or 13 of those 20 minutes.
Yeah, that last time where Sudbury was here on the 28th of December, even though it was a 7-3 win for North Bay, it really was a chippy affair, especially in the second and the third period. Lucan's hit down at ice level looked clean, looked right to the chest of McCollum, and it was just Ethan Larman just taking exception to that hit, and Lucan has to do that thing and defend himself.
Yep. And obviously he getting an instigation penalty. Instigation penalties are kind of they're kind of like goalie interference calls. They're really tough, whether they get called or they don't get called. I think that was a good play because, again, that was a very clean hit. It was after the play. Again, Lucan was already in his own defensive zone. The puck wasn't really there, and Larman came out and said, hey, I take exception. Now, I get it. It's a big hit. Whenever there's a big hit, you feel that you have to defend your teammates, but I think Lucan did the right thing there. I loved seeing him get into not afraid to drop the gloves and kind of winning that fight against Larman, and I'm pretty sure Terrian's going to get into a fight. If you were a betting person, I think the over-under of Terrian getting into a fight this afternoon is you're probably going to want to take the over, as it looks like he kind of was about to get into it a couple of times in that first period.
He seems that way every time he's on the ice, that he's looking to cause havoc, whether it be through a fight, a hit, or making a play on an offensive chance. But it's been really exciting. Chase Coughlin and Josh Bloom have been exchanging words on the bench. And you talk a lot about how the chirpiness is between the two teams. I want to say there was a good conversation on the opposite end this time where Mark Boudreau took that hit from Dallin Wakely, in which you saw Boudreau go into the bench. And Boudreau kind of just turned around after taking that hit because the play had ended, the whistle blown, and Boudreau was looking for Wakely to say what a great hit that was. So that, just a little bit of that tidbit that you hear down there at ice level. It's not always that negative you hear and we talk about. There's also that positive, and really good on Boudreau to take that and recognize that was a really good hit at that time.
And I think the one thing, if you're a Sudbury fan, is you love seeing Coughlin getting a little bit more. Obviously, it was somebody who was acquired right around the trade deadline, and he got his first goal in that in that last game, his first as a Sudbury Wolf. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does in that second period as well.
Well, that does it for us in this first intermission. When we return on the front line, Courtney Kenny will rejoin Ben Sargent for all of your action here on the front line broadcast, as it's the Wolves Battalion scoreless through one.
Meals are a special time for families to gather, share their day, and spend quality time together. Those dinners are made extra special when you add tropical produce found in the markets and grocery stores that carry La Huerta imports. La Huerta knows the importance of family, so they know which quality products make the best quality meals for your customers, whether it be Mexican Hass avocados, Brazilian figs, Ecuadorian red dragon fruit, or something just as exotic and special. To get your supply of the best tropical produce at competitive prices with brands buyers trust, contact La Huerta Imports at 705-752-1478.
Community engagement is one of our core focuses at McDonald's. The key is finding the right people who are passionate about the same things we are, helping kids be kids. McDonald's proudly supports local organizations such as the North Bay Regional Health Center Foundation, Big Brothers Big Sisters, One Kids Place, the Children's Aid Society, and Ronald McDonald House Charities. Stop by McDonald's on 1500 Fisher Street, North Bay, to see how we can serve you and the community every day.
Hey there, I'm Mike the Financial Advisor. When you strip it down to its core and you take away all the industry jargon, I help people solve financial concerns. So if you're concerned that you'll never save enough to retire comfortably, or that your kid is going to graduate post-secondary $40,000 in debt, or maybe even that life is going to take a really unfortunate sideways turn and somebody is going to have to open a GoFundMe page for you and your family, I can help you prevent all of those things from happening. If you want to see how, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Just do a search for Mike the Financial Advisor. You should find me.
And we welcome you back inside North Bay Memorial Gardens for the second period of hockey. Still nothing between the North Bay Battalion and the Sudbury Wolves. I'm Courtney Kenny, he's Ben Sargent. The Battalion in their black and golds going left to right. The Wolves in their road whites are going right to left.
The classic, where does the L go?
That's exactly it. Here we are back in action now. As the Battalion have the puck in the offensive zone. Nelson keeps the puck in, sends it on net. It's knocked away by Villeneuve before Nelson had to vacate the line. And now the puck's back out into the neutral zone. Villeneuve with the puck. Gets it into the Battalion zone. Zito levels a hit on him. And now Nelson has the puck in his own zone before quickly getting up to Tarasevich before Villeneuve takes down Nelson. This game has a lot of physicality, more so from one side. And now it's Tarasevich behind the net, tried to get it out front quickly to Jackson. Now it is out front to Bloom. Bloom takes the shot. What a save by Broussard. And a second chance. Petrov gets the puck in the net. The Battalion are up 1-0.
Well, who else but Matvei Petrov, it seems, with his, 5 goals in 3 games for Petrov. And of all the people to get it going now, the thing that I like about this is that it was Jackson and Bloom who set this up, right? Jackson gets the play, Bloom gets another rebound, and then it's finally Petrov who puts it past the sprawling Broussard. And I really do think right now that that's going to be the goal. That's going to be the difference for the Battalion as they finally are able to push through Broussard. A very good start to this period. That's what they needed, and I'm sure that Ryan Hulihan, after the last couple of games, had some very choice words after that first 20 minutes, and you feel the pep in the step right now for the Battalion in the first minute.
Well, that's the 20th goal for Matvei Petrov, back-to-back 20-goal seasons for the Russian import here for North Bay. And now the puck's down the ice and in the neutral zone. Christopoulos comes away with it, though, in the Battalion zone, chips it back up the ice before Toure sends it right back in behind the net. Winslow with it behind DiVincentis' net. Skates around as he's being chased by Coughlin. And now Bloom tries to send the puck up to Romani. That'll hit a Wolf player and go down to the end. And now Romani battling with it. And along with Jackson in the far side corner. Coughlin with the puck. Sends it up ice. Paul Christopoulos gets it. Sends it in to Jackson. But now the Wolves come away with it. That's Walton. Before a good stick by Van Steensel, keeps it in the neutral zone. Jackson can't gain the line. Van Steensel keeps it in for a moment. And now it's back to Romani, who sends it back to the blue line for Kennedy. Now the Battalion blue line. Kennedy with the puck. Sends it cross ice for Christopoulos. Christopoulos up to Wakely. Wakely up to McDonald. McDonald gains the zone. Looks at the net, takes a shot. Broussard knocks that one down. And for Petrov, that's his 61st point of the game season, moving him into a tie with Logan Morrison of the Ottawa 67s for second in the league. Ty Voigt, who was kind of running away with the league scoring title at one point, is only 3 points ahead of Petrov as of right now.
And the way Petrov's been playing, that's a number that he's going to find. I think he's going to tie very, very soon. What an absolute run that Petrov's been on, probably in his last 5, 6, 7 games.
McDonald takes the puck, shoots it, just went wide of the net. Broussard looked a little awkward trying to get to that one. Mania up ice, and now McDonald knocks Yearwood off the puck, and they get it to Lucan. Lucan sends the puck up ice for Van Steensel. McDonald comes away with it. McDonald takes the shot. Broussard in the butterfly gets that, and also that first goal. We've talked about how important it is. The Battalion are perfect 20-0-1 when scoring the first goal of the game, but they're 9-11-1 when the opposing team scores. Well, so you know that's going to be big for the troops.
Yeah, what you notice here in this first period is that there's been 0 chances on DiVincentis so far. The Battalion have stopped, basically have not let them get past that blue line, and on the other side of that, they've been really forcing the issue on Broussard so far.
They have for sure. Shots are now up to 16-7. So the Battalion have gotten 5 shots on goal to none so far for the Wolves. Nelson to Hislop. Back over to Nelson. Nelson up ice. Terrian knocks it in. And Procession goes for it in the far side. The Wolves come away with it, but Nelson gets back to the point. Goes cross ice quickly for Terrian. Terrian twisting and turning with Collins right on him. Gets it around to Bouchard. Bouchard sends it back to the blue line for Nelson. Back to Hislop. Hislop carries it in, gets it to Terrian. Terrian goes around the net. Had Broussard beat. And he was able to get the puck out in front, but he couldn't. Hislop keeps it in. Procession. This is the most zone time we've seen the troops have in a long time as well. And now Wolves pick up possession, and that's Boudreau. Boudreau looks for it. Now good stick there by Zito. Gets it to Petrov. Petrov in alone. Gets it back to Zito. Zito takes the shot, and Zito is stopped by Broussard. Why?
Yeah, so this was an instance. Petrov gets kind of lucky. He comes off the bench, and he gets this absolute perfect opportunity on Broussard. And it just seemed like he ran out of room, and his only option was to get to Zito, but Zito was right on him as well, so no real opportunity. If Zito would have been on the other side of Broussard, and that pass gets through, then yes, it's going to be kind of an issue. But I think that was just an instance where Petrov didn't realize he kind of ran out of room and then kind of panicked, and Broussard making a pretty easy save on Zito. But what an opportunity. And again, the Battalion, even if they didn't score there, they're putting a lot of great pressure, and this is what you want to see if playing a team like Sudbury.
For sure, you definitely want to see some of that pressure, as you mentioned. Christopoulos with the puck at the point, tried to find Petrov, who swap places with him. And now it's Goyette who dances around a guy. He takes a shot, he scores! It doesn't get any easier than that for David Goyette.
Yeah, David Goyette there just dancing through the Battalion's defense, and what a nice shot as he goes right to the top corner. Pretty much a perfect shot to get it right underneath the crossbar, and DiVincentis getting his arm up there but not able to get his glove on that puck, and just one of those ones that DiVincentis doesn't get beat very often head up, and that just shows you how good of a release Goyette has as he takes that right from the top of the circle, and just like that, even though that's really their first opportunity of the game, next thing you know, it's 1-1 hockey game, and that's what Sudbury can do. They're a team that will, especially when they play North Bay, they never seem to go away.
That's Goyette's 27th of the season, and he just walked right past everybody, got a great shot away. Look what happens when you shoot the puck.
Yep.
Back behind the net, Broussard plays it back. Mania picks it up, and now the Battalion, who look to be the better team on the first shot this period, the Wolves kept the game back tied. McCallum sends the puck in. DeGrazia tries to tip it on net, missed the net though. And now Hislop has it, gets it up to Jackson. Jackson looking to go up ice, gets it quickly to Bloom. Bloom couldn't get it to stay, and now Romani has possession with it. Romani leaves it for Bloom, who leaves it for Hislop. Hislop sends it back in. Romani in the near side corner. Gets over to Jackson. Now, how big of that would that goal have been for Petrov to get a second one there on that breakaway? But now we find ourselves tied, just under 4.5 minutes gone, or just over 4.5 minutes. Jackson in on Broussard. Can't get a shot away. And now going the other way is Villeneuve. Villeneuve to DeGrazia, takes the shot. Rebound off of DiVincentis. Went out to the corner. And now the Battalion get the puck back up to the ice again. And now they've gone offside as they try to get another golden opportunity here. Yearwood stopping up, tries to get things to go. The Wolves with Goyette there had a golden chance in the slot again, but he missed the net while he was turning as he took the shot. Yearwood battling with Nelson, loses it to Wakely. McDonald now into the center ice spot for Nelson. Nelson into the neutral zone. Takes a run at Yearwood, loses the puck though, and now going the other way is Walton. Walton can't get by a good stick of Winslow. Now we're going to get a penalty here to the Wolves, as now McDonald going the other way. McDonald down the ice, tries to skate it in, takes the shot, and somehow Broussard, it looked like he just got it under him. He only just got down to stop that. As the puck disappeared, it looked like it almost went behind him from our angle.
Yeah, they're going to be a hit to the head is going to be called here against Sudbury.
And that'll be Yearwood going into the box.
Yeah, I didn't quite see the hit there in the back where the contact was, but obviously enough to merit a penalty here, as it'll be another chance for the Battalion. This should be their third opportunity on the power play to try to get something going, and they definitely do. Like, the one thing Sudbury has done a really good job, even though the Battalion have had a lot, like outside of that one shot by Goyette, the Battalion put a lot of pressure. The Wolves have done a great job defensively right now in their own zone, not giving away too many great scoring opportunities to the Battalion when they've had possession in the offensive zone.
Jackson coming in for the draw, loses it, but the Wolves won it back right to Broussard. Now it's to Nelson at the point. Nelson takes the pass into McDonald. McDonald behind the net. Tries to get up front to Jackson. Jackson's shot. Maybe Broussard got a piece of that, but it just went wide of the net. Jackson with a golden opportunity there. Back to the point for Petrov now. Over to Nelson. That's the first chance that the Battalion have really had on the power play this game. Nelson, cross ice to Jackson. Jackson looks to get the down low backdoor shot to McDonald. Now it's back to Petrov at the point. Petrov into Nelson. Nelson to Bloom. Bloom takes a shot, can't get it to go. McDonald battling for it. And now the Wolves get it right past Petrov at the blue line. And down the length of the ice it goes. 1:10 left on the power play now for the troops. Petrov sends it up to Winslow. Winslow gets it up to Jackson. Broussard picks it up behind his net, sends it up to the point. Jackson keeps it in, and he sends it right back behind the net for Zito. Zito with the puck behind the net, looking to set things up. Gets it over to Petrov on the far side wall. Petrov back to the point for Winslow. Winslow to Jackson. Jackson cross ice quickly for Petrov. It's off the post. Matvey Petrov picked his spot with a great shot, and it just didn't find the back of the net.
Well, if he's not scoring, it seems like he hits the post. He had one against Hamilton as well. And that's just kind of the way it goes right now. But more often than not, that puck's finding the back of the net.
Especially for Petrov. Toure now Gets the puck in his own zone. Gets it up to Goyette. Goyette tried to get out of his zone. He does. But the Battalion are quickly back in as it didn't go down the length of the ice. Romani carrying the puck in. Nifty little move there to gain some space. Sends it in on net. Broussard never got to it. Now it's Goyette going the other way. Goyette with Hislop and Wakely back. Slows things down. That'll do it for the man advantage here. As Wakely with a good stick. Can't get it on net though as the Wolves still had the shot away. Wakely battling his man, and now it comes cross ice to Romani. Now we have Zito who's hobbling back to the bench. And if he goes down with an injury, well, now they've lost Ertl, and now they'll lose Zito as well. As Zito gets up and over the bench finally. And now it's Collins to Boudreau. Boudreau looking up ice. Yearwood chips the puck in. Hislop going after it. Hislop sends the puck up ice quickly. Terrian can't get it per session. We'll have to keep an eye on Zito as well for you. And now it's Coughlin going the other way for the Wolves. Coughlin gains the zone. Can't get it past Christopoulos. Villeneuve runs into Christopoulos' zone, gets the puck back. And now it's back to the point for Collins. Collins to Robinson. Robinson sends the puck in. Coughlin with it in the corner. Takes a hit by Hislop. Hislop battling with Procession in the corner. Gets out to Walton. Walton with a good shot out front there to Collins. Another shot blocked. Now it's Robinson. Loses it to Christopoulos. Christopoulos sends it up the ice. That's going to be out of the reach of Terrian. Or else Terrian would have been home free. Out front for Tarasevic. It doesn't get to him. And now the Wolves have possession again going the other way. Konyan chasing after it, but Divinchentis has it. Sends it up the ice. And quickly the Wolves try to set things up again in the Battalion zone. Kennedy can't get a hold of it. Jackson battling in the corner with Lucan. Lucan on the near side corner. And it comes away and Hislop gets it up to Romani quickly. Romani to Jackson. Jackson trying to skate it in, but now Romani has it. And his shot went to nobody. Walton with it. Trying to get it back down to the Battalion zone. 10:26 here left in this second period. And now it's Romani and Bloom going the other way. Romani goes cross ice for Bloom. Can't get it. Leaves it for Lucan. Lucan just sends it back behind the net. And Chromiak and Romani are going to battle in the near side corner. Chromiak gets to it first. Gives it to Mania. Mania to Walton. Walton sends it right down the length of the ice, and Divinchentis comes out behind his net to play it. Winslow quickly up to Wakely, gets it to McDonald. McDonald shovels it down the ice, and now it's behind the net for Broussard. Chromiak with it, gets the puck up ice quickly, and then that's going to be Goyette who sent the puck quickly over to McCallum. But the Wolves the Battalion get the puck back down the ice. McDonald chasing after it. Gives it to Wakely. Wakely takes the shot. Broussard turns that one aside. Wakely trying to gain the rebound again, but gets it to Van Steensel. Van Steensel trying to find Nelson at the point. Can't. And now it's to McDonald, who takes another sharp angle shot. That's Toure, who got that one, though, right in a spot that you don't want to get a puck. Now going the other way is McCallum. McCallum takes the shot, blocked by Divinchentis. And the rebound comes into the corner with Van Steensel battling for it. Winslow comes away with it. Gets it to Nelson. Nelson looking up ice. His stick blows up on his pass. And he had McDonald sprung, but McDonald was well offside by the time the puck got to him. Now going the other way. Goyette tries to gain the Battalion zone. Zito back out there on the ice. Good to see. Tarasevic twisting and turning again. Gives it up to McCallum. McCallum to Goyette. Goyette was through some speed through the neutral zone. Tries to take the shot. It's in the feet of Christopoulos. And now Hislop has it up to Petrov. Petrov quickly to Tarasevic. Tarasevic waiting for some reinforcements. Looks to get it into Zito. That pass is knocked aside by Robinson. Zito behind the net. Tries to get to Tarasevic, but it's going to be knocked down the ice by the Wolves. And Christopoulos picks it up at his blue line. Over to Hislop. 8:20. There's not been a whistle for a long time in this game.
No, they want to make you work.
Apparently. Gaining all my wage today. Boudreau with it. Looks up ice. Gives it to Hislop. Hislop to Petrov. Petrov loses it. Now Robinson's going the other way. Robinson into the Battalion zone. Can't get a shot to go, though. And he just dumps it in behind the net. Christopoulos battling for it. The Battalion has Hislop nearly gave it away as Boudreau, and now we're going to get Hislop and Boudreau saying some words to each other. And then Villeneuve comes in. Nobody dropped the gloves, but that'll take us to our mid-period break here. We'll try and sort this out on the other side along with Derek Lindemann.
This period is brought to you by Canada Alumni Perks. Get information on special events and news or access the Alumni Job Portal. Visit canadacollege.ca/perks for more information.
Well, Derek, a bit of a chippy game again, and then the Wolves on their first shot retie the game at 1. How's it going between the benches now?
Not really much talking anymore between the two benches. A little bit this time as Zito giving it back to Coughlin, who's deciding to talk with anyone who will listen to him. But a couple good shots in that first period, or second period, has each team on the scoreboard. But I think I found a new area for sponsorship, and that's the Ty Nelson stick count. 3 broken sticks already through the first half of this game. Maybe that's an area we can focus on is a Ty Nelson stick count and see how high we can get on a daily basis. Courtney, let's go back up to you.
Thanks very much, Derek. I really appreciate everything you bring to us down between the benches for sure. And one question before we go, though. Pascal Zito, he looked like he was hurt. But he's back out there. How's he going? How's he doing now?
You know, he's skating just like he was. He took a little stick to the Achilles tendon above the skate where there's no padding. You know what? That's something him and the players like to do is just that little chop where the referees can't see what's going on.
Well, again, we'll hear from you again even further as the game goes on, Derek. As the Battalion right now find themselves on a power play here as Boudreau is in the box for roughing. And we're about to get underway here with Jackson. Up to Larmont. Larmont gets it to, but McDonald picks it up. McDonald tries to get in. He's taken down. Collins gets the puck. And now it's back to the point for Nelson. Nelson sends it into Bloom. Bloom skates around to it. And then they're going to send the puck down the ice, and it's going to go out of play here. And we're going to get a stoppage here with a minute 41.
One of the biggest one of the big things that the Battalion have done in this period that they didn't do last period was their forecheck. The forecheck's been absolutely fantastic. I didn't really get a chance to say it as the last play was about like 10 minutes, it seemed like, back-to-back, but it was very good forechecking for the Battalion. They seem like they have more of a pep in their step. They seem like they have more energy, and it's really showing in this period.
We'll have to see if it results in a power play goal here for the Troops. They did look like they had the better power play there to start the game to start this period as opposed to the first period where they kind of gave all the scoring opportunities to the Wolves. Down in their own zone now, minute 25 left on the clock. Petrov into McDonald. McDonald goes cross ice for Bloom. Bloom back to the point for Nelson. Nelson cross ice to Petrov. Petrov walks it in a little bit, gives it to Jackson. Jackson skating around. Gets it into McDonald. McDonald back to Jackson behind the net. Jackson sends it weakly back to the point quickly. Over to Nelson. Back to Petrov, playing pitch and catch. Petrov takes the shot. That one's blocked and goes wide. And now the Wolves have the puck in their own zone and just slowly get the puck down the ice. Petrov chips it back up before Anania sends it the other way. 40 seconds left on the power play now. Nelson in his own zone. Looks to reset as the Battalion don't go for a change rather, and they get it over to McDonald. Back to Nelson. Nelson to Zito. Zito sends it in behind the net for Bloom. Bloom sends it back to the point. Nobody there. So the Battalion are going to have to regroup here with 20 seconds now on the man advantage. McDonald into the Wolves zone. He loses it, and the Wolves try to clear it, but Nelson picks it up in the neutral zone. Zito tries to skate the puck in. Goes behind the net as we're back to 5-on-5 hockey here. Just under 6 minutes left in the period as well. Zito to Romani. Romani takes a shot, and that one's over the net. Wakely to Robinson. And Zito. Back to Romani. Romani looking for Zito. Zito falling across the ice. Can't get it to go as he was in the slot and in a prime position. To Romani. Takes the shot. Broussard can't get a glove on it. A second chance by Zito. And Broussard pounces on that one quickly.
Sudbury's playing a very good defensive game. One of the things that they're doing very well in this game is keeping the opportunities in the middle of the ice away from the Battalion. They're not allowing these passes to go through the slot area. They're not allowing the Battalion players to get set up in the slot area. They're doing a really good job boxing that area out and giving Brassard a lot. He's had a very good game, but Brassard is really being helped out by his defense as well. As what's happening is every time he gets a shot against him, it's in a prime position where it kind of goes right into his body.
Winslow over to Christopoulos. Christopoulos to Bouchard. Bouchard sends it in for Procession. Procession battling in the corner, leaves it for Bouchard. Bouchard sends it around the perimeter, back to Winslow at the point. Winslow just sends it right back in, and Procession battling with Toure in the near side corner. Procession, Toure, Bouchard, all battling for the puck. Bouchard comes away with it before he loses it quickly to Mania. Going the other way now are the Wolves, but they lose it to Christopoulos. Christopoulos gets it up quickly to Bouchard. Bouchard sends it behind the net to Winslow. Winslow gets a bit of a hit there on his own side before getting it back up to Bouchard. And now Procession in the neutral zone gives it back to Christopoulos. Mania walks the puck down the ice. Gives it over to Yearwood. Yearwood walks in, takes the shot. DiVincentis stops that one. Winslow had the rebound come to him and decided that he was going to hold on to that one instead.
Yeah, DiVincentis looking pretty solid so far in the early part of this game. There have been a couple of miscues here and there, but obviously if you look at the lone goal that the Wolves have gotten so far, it's been that really beautiful shot by Goyette right at the top of the circle, and not much you can really do about that, as it looks like there's a little bit of talking here between the Battalion and the Wolves before we get to the face-off. But overall, this has been a period where the Battalion, I think they've played a very good period, especially compared to the first. However, they really, you look at that Petrov breakaway and a couple of opportunities where it could be more than just a one-goal period for the Battalion.
Well, the last time these two teams played, they each scored one goal in regulation before a frantic 3-on-3 overtime, and then McDonald buried the shootout winner. Wakely into the Wolves zone. Tries to send the puck in deep. The Wolves come away with it. That's Coughlin. Walton now with it. Gains the Battalion zone, takes a backhanded chance on DiVincentis. It's turned away. And then McDonald tries to send the puck the other way, but can't as it bounced out. And Yearwood chases after it. Hislop, Lucan. Lucan tries to clear it, can't get it to Coughlin. Coughlin is going to have a high sticking call if he takes it, as he was able to bat the puck down, but now the Battalion get the puck down to Van Steensel. Van Steensel takes the shot, rebound to Wakely! What a save by Brassard! How did he get that? Oh my goodness, Wakely! He had a golden opportunity and Brassard got the piece of it.
Well, I think with that one with Brassard, that was just, I was waiting for this to happen because as soon as Van Steensel shot the puck and it went low into the pads, I was thinking immediately like he's doing that for the rebound. And that was just an absolute great chance by Brassard to stretch over there and make an absolutely ridiculous save, as Wakely's just trying to pick that up as fast as possible. And if he took maybe a split second and brought that a little bit closer to the post, he probably would have had a bit of a better chance. But Brassard, an absolute great save. He's looked fantastic here. 23 saves on 24 shots.
He really has, and he looked fantastic in Sudbury in that game against the Battalion as well. A good pickup from the QMJHL here. And it makes Wolves fans maybe say, Joe Ranger who?
Yeah, and again, he has some of the games where he's very good, and he has some games where he's not so good, like the Niagara game. So it's, luckily for Sudbury, they're getting the good Brassard here this evening.
I tell you, look at his elite prospects page. This kid has had a journey through major junior hockey. He's played like for almost every team, it feels like.
Yeah, third team this year so far.
Wild. DeGrazia up to Goyette. Goyette looking for DeGrazia. And now they try to send a centering pass, but they can't get it to go. 3 minutes left here in the second period. Romani skating up ice, gives it to Nelson. Nelson just sends it back into the Wolves zone, and Romani goes after it, tries to get a backhanded chance. No look pass, but they can't get it to go. Kennedy now over to Romani. Gives it to Lucan. Lucan skates the puck in, and now Boudreau picks off that pass. And now going the other way is Anania. Anania back to McCallum. McCallum skates it in. Zito picks up the puck, though, coming in off the bench, and gets the loose puck, and now Bloom tries to find Romani. Can't, as McCallum picks off that pass. 2.5 minutes here left in the second period. 1-1 score between North Bay and Sudbury. Boudreau takes the backhand. It's kicked away by DiVincentis. McCallum got a little bit too close for comfort there as well. And now Conium with the puck. As the puck comes out, Nobody's there for the Wolves to bury it, though. And now Zito gets the puck up ice. Zito with it. Takes the shot. It's blocked down by Broussard as Petrov fed him a well shot, or well chance. The Battalion certainly have been the more offensive team as they currently lead 25-14, but we're all tied at 1. Zito getting into it with Boudreau now, as Boudreau had his stick. And now Zito tries to send a no-look pass into the middle of the ice. Nobody was there, so Mania's going the other way as he picked that off. Mania skates it in, takes the sharp angled shot. Divinchendis grabs that with his glove, and with 1:33 left in the second, we'll get another stoppage here.
Yeah, again, we talk about how good Sudbury has been defensively. Even in transition, they haven't given the Battalion a lot of stuff. The Battalion have not been going towards the center of the ice when they have had their opportunities down the ice. They tend to go towards the side, trying to set up a pass. I'd like to see some of these guys try to go a little bit more towards the center of the ice and try to make something happen there. If you can get both your defensemen to merge in on you, you can create a better opportunity for the trailer, the person coming in after you. So that's kind of one of the big differences is how the transition game has been for the Battalion.
Mm-hmm. It's been fun to watch in some cases, frustrating in others. McDonald tries to get up to Wakely. Wakely's picked off by Goyette. Goyette over to DeGrazia. DeGrazia can't get it to go, and now McDonald has the puck in the neutral zone, skates it up the ice. McDonald stopped at the blue line. Van Steensel tries to send it back in, and now Van Steensel is stopped as well as he tries to get it over the blue line. McDonald sends Goyette down to the ice. Minute left here in the second period. And now it's just become a neutral zone game as McDonald was offside, but apparently not.
I think they were saying Sudbury shot that puck back into their own zone.
Oh, okay. Now it's up to Hislop. Hislop goes cross ice looking for Wakely. His pass, couldn't find him though as Robinson picks the puck up in the neutral zone. Now we're going to get an offside going into the Battalion zone. Whatever. 44 seconds left in the game. You don't need to know what's going on at home, people. I don't need to know.
I will say this has been a very good, well-played period for the Battalion.
Much better than the first.
When you compare to the first. However, that being said, and you got to give a lot of credit to the defense of Sudbury, who has been very good at keeping high-scoring situations away from Broussard. But overall, I think a much better period, but the Battalion have to find more of the back of the net.
Zito to Winslow. Winslow finds Petrov, who just sends the puck in. Now we have Zito, Jackson, and Petrov out there. Bit of a new look line here for the troops here in the final minute. 28 seconds remain. And now it's up the ice for Villeneuve. Villeneuve tries to get it past Winslow, and he does. Gets it to Jackson. Back to the point for Toure. Toure takes the shot. It never got to the net as it was blocked in front. 10 seconds left. The Battalion with one final charge up the ice. Petrov goes cross ice. He's slashed. No call coming. And now the puck's back to the point for Zito. Zito gets it over to Nelson. Nelson takes the shot on the last second, and that one's blocked by Collins, or Anania rather. So that's going to be how the second period ends. 1-1. The shots on goal, 25-15. But both teams scoring one goal each in that period.
Yeah, and it looks like a much better period again for the North Bay Battalion, but they need a couple of higher quality scoring chances. They need to find pucks kind of more in the middle in the high slot area, but great defensive play by Sudbury and a good job defensively by the Battalion as well.
Well, we'll have to see how things move on here in the third period, but for now, we'll have Derek Lindemann come in for the second intermission along with Ben Sargent, and as always, keep your eye on the front line.
Average Joe's Eatery and Patio Bar is North Bay's only year-round lakefront restaurant. On the shores of beautiful Trout Lake, we have been serving delicious food and stunning views since 1999. Indulge in one of our delicious menu items, or simply sit with a cocktail in hand and watch the beauty of Trout Lake before your eyes. Check us out online at averagejoes.net or visit us in person at 3501 Trout Lake Road, North Bay.
As a Canadore College alumni, you have access to perks. Canadore Alumni Perks. This is a lifetime membership that includes special access to great offers, opportunities to get involved, and so much more. Graduates can access discounts and special offers from businesses and hotels locally, across Canada, and internationally. Get information on special events and news, or access the alumni job portal. Keep in touch with Canadore's alumni office. Visit canadorecollege.ca/perks. Great things happen here.
You rely on your vehicle to take you to the places that matter most to you. So bring your vehicle to the team you can rely on to keep it running at its best. Dave's Automotive Services. Whether you're getting your car or truck ready for the season with a tire change, making sure you're safe on the road with an inspection and certification, or doing your due diligence to keep your vehicle in tip-top shape with regular maintenance, Dave's Automotive Services has you covered. Expert troubleshooting, quality repairs, and time-efficient labor are the 3 stars of service you can expect when you bring your car or truck to Dave's Automotive Services at 411 Airport Road. Call 705-478-5544 and book your appointment today.
The Frontline Podcast, Season 3. Courtney Kenny, Matthew Sukram, Derek Lindemann, Bob Coles, and Ben Long bring you closer your favorite teams like never before. Covering everything to do with hockey in the North Bay area, exclusive interviews with the North Bay Battalion staff and players, expert analysis on the OHL, NOJHL, and more, keeping you up to date on all things Voodoos, Trappers, Lakers, and more. It's a new season, it's a new adventure. The Frontline Podcast Season 3. Available wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Average Joe's Eatery. Average Joe's, where we want your experience here to be a happy one. 3501 Trout Lake Road.
Welcome back inside Memorial Gardens. We've reached the second intermission here of tonight's OHL contest as the North Bay Battalion and the Sudbury Wolves are deadlocked as 1. Let's take a look at the scoring summary as both teams register goals in that middle frame. Matvey Petrov is 20th of the season, only 59 seconds into that period, opened up the scoring from Kyle Jackson and Josh Bloom. And then at 3:42, David Goyette scored the equalizer from Landon McCollum and Nick DeGrazia. That was Goyette's 27th goal of the season. 2 minor penalties in that frame, both of them going to the Sudbury Wolves. Nicholas Yearwood went off for check to the head at 5:32, and then at 12:07, Mark Boudreau went off for roughing. Shots in the second period, the Wolves 8 for a game total of 15. 14 for the Battalion in the second, game total of 25. Neither team scoring on the power play. Wolves are 0 for 1. Meanwhile, the Battalion 0 for 4 through the first 2 periods. Let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard this afternoon. 4 games underway in the OHL. In Guelph, the Storm now lead the Frontenacs by a score of 5-2. In London, the Knights find themselves trailing the Kitchener Rangers. That game is 3-2. Couple minutes remaining in the second period. Through 2 periods in Mississauga as the Steelheads are leading the Ice Dogs 4-2. The only other game currently underway sees the Owen Sound Attack hosting the Ottawa 67s, and it's the Attack with a 3-1 lead. Later today, a 4 o'clock start as the Flint Firebirds host the Erie Otters, and a 6:05 start in Oshawa, and the Generals will host the Windsor Spitfires. The only game in the NHL going on at the time sees the New Jersey Devils host the Pittsburgh Penguins. That game is deadlocked at 1 late in the second period. And in the NFL playoffs this afternoon, it's the Cincinnati Bengals leading the Buffalo Bills 14-0 late in the first quarter. Well, Ben Sargent, a little different second period. Not as rough as what we were expecting after the way the first ended, but each team do get on the score sheet, and it's Matvey Petrov. 5 goals in 3 games now.
Yeah, and the Battalion playing a much better second period than they did that first period. You could tell, like, they were much faster. One of the things that make the Battalion a very good team is their back checking. They have an amazing back check because their forwards have so much speed. We see this with Zito, Petrov, even that fourth line with guys like Therrien and Procession, and even with Bouchard, who's kind of a smaller guy who has some speed as well, slotting into that fourth line. So what I've noticed was much better back checking. You could see there, yes, DiVincentis had some opportunities, but a lot of them came from outside of high-quality scoring opportunities. They were from outside of the circle. Obviously, look at David Goyette, but that's kind of an outlier because Goyette, but defensively, the Battalion did everything right. They kept him away from a really good opportunity, but Goyette has such a good shot, and you can't really blame DiVincentis on that one either, as it was just perfectly placed. And he couldn't even really get a chance to react as fast as I think he would, as he didn't even get the glove up into that corner in time. And that just shows, once again, a guy who has almost 30 goals in the year, and there's a reason why. But on the other side for the Battalion, I think what's hurting them on the scoreboard is missed opportunities. We see Petrov obviously finally breaking the goal scoring early in the period, but then he had another opportunity on a breakaway. He ran out of room. He got a really bad opportunity, tried to pass to Zito, and it kind of broke apart. And then you look at even that first period, early on when they had a lot of momentum, they weren't able to get stuffed by Brassard. And Brassard has looked good, but to be fair, his defense has looked very good in front of him as well.
Yeah, Brassard, kind of a unique goaltender, seems to show his cards early on as he'll make the first move a lot of times on the shooter, and it's the shooter that just can't find a way. And Brassard, especially on that last opportunity by Owen Van Steensel, basically throwing a blocker out there and just getting a piece of it as that went up into the mesh in behind. But Brassard looks like he can be beat if the Battalion are patient and can get him moving. That shot by Goyeto, right-handed shot coming down that left wing side, going far side. Perfectly placed, picking that upper corner just above the glove. It's been an exciting game so far, and it's going to be an exciting third period.
I think so, and I think there's a big crunch. Again, both teams have a lot to play for. We talk Ottawa right now losing to Owen Sound. A win here would put them just a few points behind them in the standing. I believe 2 points behind them in the standings going into their next game against Windsor. And then you have Sudbury, who, again, is 5 points ahead of the Oshawa Generals right now, who are sitting in ninth place. And, again, only 2 teams don't make the playoffs. Sudbury is a playoff team. I think they are a team that deserves to be at least in that 8th spot. But then if you look ahead, right, you look at where they're sitting with Mississauga and Kingston, both tied with 44 points. They're only 5 points ahead of Sudbury. And we talk again, who would you rather face? Windsor, North Bay in that first round, or Peterborough or Barrie? There's a big difference.
It's really tough. And like you said, the Wolves look like they are a playoff team. They are missing 2 big pieces in this game. Quentin Musty, who's out with an infection in his hand after that fight with Callum Ritchie. He cut open his hand on a tooth, and it got infected. He needed surgery to remove that infection. And also Coach Adelic not in the lineup tonight. Those are 2 big pieces of this Sudbury Wolves team.
Yeah, and the thing that I've noticed about Sudbury, though, it's been a team game. They have been very aggressive on the forecheck. They've been forcing Battalion issues on the other zone. Now, one thing that you've noticed in that last period, though, that was not happening like it was happening in the first period. And the biggest difference was the Battalion were putting Sudbury on their heels that whole time. They were quickly getting the puck into the neutral zone, creating transition opportunities against Brassard and the Wolves defensively. And one of the things that I think they did a really good job with is when the Battalion are on their heels, they create a lot of issues, right? It feels like sometimes defensively, their defensemen in conjunction with their forward, we talked about the communication, they make mistakes. They kind of turn pucks over. It becomes sloppy. But when they're putting their opponents on their heels, that's where I think their game thrives.
Exactly. And let's look at the week ahead as coming up this week. We know Thursday night, much anticipated here at Memorial Gardens. The Windsor Spitfires are in town. They have the brother of Paul Christopoulos, Alex, who was traded last year to the Spitfires. He's doing quite well for himself over there with Windsor. And then at the deadline, the addition of Shane Wright. Unbelievable. It really puts the Windsor Spitfires, who were the finalists last year in the OHL, back in that running to be the Western champion and to represent the West in the finals.
Yeah, and both these teams are looking at Windsor because guess who they play next? Both these teams play Windsor next. They're here Thursday. They're in Sudbury Friday. And the issue right now is the Battalion are kind of on a bit of a lull, right? They've 1 point in the last 2 games. They're not looking like the team they should be in this game here, though. When these two face each other, usually it's kind of like this. It's a very tight game. Both teams seem to have some sort of extra energy when it comes into this. But when you look at the Windsor Spitfires, though, and you look at what they've done recently, they're on, as I said, a 5-game Eastern Conference road trip outside of their last game against the Sault Ste. Marie. The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. But last night they won 8-7 against Barrie in a really high-scoring affair. Their 6-game winning streak dating back to their last loss was January 6th when they lost 7-1 to Sarnia, and that broke a 3-game win streak. So if they win tonight, which they should against Oshawa, they're basically 10 wins in their last 11 games. They're going to be coming in with a lot of momentum coming into that game Thursday.
And then after that game against the Spitfires on Thursday, the Battalion will hit the road for a pair of games next weekend. They're in Niagara for a Saturday night contest. That's the 28th of January. And then they'll be in Oshawa to take on the Generals for that Sunday evening game. That's a 6:05 start in Oshawa on the 29th. So the Battalion, again, 3 games in 4 nights next weekend.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because we've seen how poorly they've played on the road recently. We've seen a couple of poor games. When they played last in Sudbury, we saw a poor game against Mississauga, giving up a lot of goals early on. And then next weekend, you said Niagara, Oshawa, and then Sudbury before finally coming back to play Mississauga on Thursday night. So this is going to be a very interesting time for the Battalion. We talk about points. Is it important that they win all these games? No, they still have a huge lead over Barrie, but they're going for that number 1 spot, right? They're trying for that home ice advantage in that Eastern Conference final. So it doesn't seem like a big deal. Yeah, they've 1 point in the last 2 games. They're not playing too well. It is what it is. But there's a lot more at stake when it comes to home ice advantage. And the Battalion, they don't care about the regular season. What they're focused on is the postseason, and they're focused on winning the East and also winning the OHL in total.
Exactly, and the question about goaltending right now is, will Michael McIver get one of those starts next weekend? We know Charlie Robertson will definitely not be back next weekend, as he'll be away. If not injured, he'll be away at the Prospects game. So does McIver get one of those starts on the road?
I would imagine. So they're playing Niagara Oshawa. I would imagine he probably plays the Niagara. Obviously, the Ice Dogs have a very poor season. They don't have a lot of offensive prowess to them. So I could see McIver getting the start, at least in that game versus the Ottawa. And then you look at the interesting one is the Sudbury, Mississauga, the back-to-back. The question is, I could see McIver getting 2 starts, once in Niagara and then probably in that Sudbury game, unless Houlihan feels like the Battalion are not playing well on the road and he might put DiVincentis in that Sudbury game.
Yeah, it's an interesting little stretch in the next couple of weeks for the North Bay Battalion, and to see what happens with their goaltending tandem. Right now, it's Michael McIver on the bench, backing up DiVincentis. Looking good into today's game, only having to make 14 saves, though, through 2 periods.
He has, and the one thing I think DiVincentis has done really well in this hockey game is that he's not giving up a whole lot of rebounds, and the rebounds he has been giving up have not been high-scoring chances for the Sudbury Wolves. The Battalion have played well defensively in front of him, and he's making all the saves he has to. And again, you look at the 1 goal he gave up, and here's the reality of it. Very, very, very few goaltenders are going to make that save. You cannot blame DiVincentis for that one, and he's looked very fantastic. Exactly what they needed from their goaltender this afternoon.
Let's take this moment to recognize our players to watch and see how they are doing in the first 2 periods, as those guys are brought to you by Mike, the financial advisor.
Players to Watch is brought to you by Mike, the financial advisor. If you have financial questions, he has financial answers. On Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Mike the FA.
Our Sudbury Wolves player, Alex Farran, has been fairly quiet throughout the game. Nothing to report on the score sheet, 2 for 7 in the faceoff dot. Alexander Lukin also held off the score sheet, does have 1 shot on goal, but he did hold his own and came away with what I say the victory in that scuffle with who was it now? Ethan Larman. Neither player is getting on the score sheet. Let's hope maybe Lukin can turn the tide in the 3rd period.
Yeah, and you look at Ferrand, and he's a guy that whole line with Boudreau, again, he's on that kind of goal streak right now with 4 goals in 4 games. But it's going to be kind of interesting with how that line's going to come out in this 3rd period. They've been kind of quiet, and honestly, the Wolves outside of Goyette have been very quiet in this hockey game, in that 2nd period, I would say. Now, looking at Lukin, in that 1st period, him and Kennedy had some issues. I thought they played very well recently, but in that period, there were some communication issues, and I think a lot of that also has to do not just on the 2 defensemen, but also on the forwards backing up. We've seen Jackson having some issues in the defensive zone, but I think in that 2nd period, Lukin and Kennedy played very well, and again, Lukin's not a guy who's going to get on the score sheet a lot of times, but it's the intangibles that he does on defense, and I think he looks very good, as did the whole defensive core in that last period.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see. Just moments away from puck drop in the 3rd period. Courtney Kenny will rejoin Ben Sargent with all of your action in the 3rd period, as it's the Wolves Battalion deadlocked at 1 here on the Frontline broadcast.
Meals are a special time for families to gather, share their day, and spend quality time together. Those dinners are made extra special when you add tropical produce found in the markets and grocery stores that carry La Huerta imports. La Huerta knows the importance of family, so they know which quality products make the best quality meals for your customers, whether it be Mexican Hass avocados, Brazilian figs, Ecuadorian red dragon fruit, or something just as exotic and special. To get your supply of the best tropical produce at competitive prices with brands buyers trust, contact La Huerta Imports at 705-752-1478.
Community engagement is one of our core focuses at McDonald's. The key is finding the right people who are passionate about the same things we are, helping kids be kids. McDonald's proudly supports local organizations such as the North Bay Regional Health Center Foundation, Big Brothers Big Sisters, One Kids Place, the Children's Aid Society, and Ronald McDonald House Charities. Stop by McDonald's on 1500 Fisher Street, North Bay, to see how we can serve you and the community every day.
Hey there, I'm Mike the financial advisor. When you strip it down to its core and you take away all the industry jargon, I help people solve financial concerns. So if you're concerned that you'll never save enough to retire comfortably, Or that your kid is going to graduate post-secondary $40,000 in debt. Or maybe even that life is going to take a really unfortunate sideways turn and somebody is going to have to open a GoFundMe page for you and your family. I can help you prevent all of those things from happening. If you want to see how, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Just do a search for Mike the Financial Advisor. You should find me.
Hi, and welcome back to the third period here of the North Bay Battalion versus the Sudbury Wolves. 1-1 game. The Battalion in their black and golds are going right to left. The Wolves in their road whites are going left to right. 1-1 between the two teams. North Bay leads 25-15 on the shot clock. We'll see if that continues here as Nelson comes back in for a icing. So we're going to get a stoppage here quickly in an offensive zone draw. I just want to call out something real quick here, and again, I did this earlier in the year, and if it tanks me, it tanks me. I don't even care anymore. The Battalion have their own media. It's called The Front Line, and instead they repeatedly show done by Greg Esterbrook's on the video board when we've asked multiple times, hey, you guys are suffocating us, and that's exactly what they're doing. So if you at home are still looking for wonderful content this year, hopefully we can still continue to bring it to you, but it looks like the Battalion are doing everything in their power not to let it be. So here we are again with the Battalion tied 1-1 to the Sudbury Wolves. And a shot comes on to Vincentis. He stops that one up.
Yeah, it's going to be the big thing here in this period is going to be all about starting things up right away. Which team's going to come out firing? And right now it's going to be one of those games where the next goal is going to be a very big, important goal. And the quicker you can kind of get that tie-breaking goal, I think it's going to make it a little bit easier, especially with how good both teams have played defensively so far in that second period.
Well, if it's anything like the game in Sudbury, that tie-breaking goal might not come until the shootout. Back to the point. Robinson sends it in for the Wolves. Hislop, they're able to block that one and gets it up to McDonald. Now we see Jackson, Bloom, and McDonald reunited, but a quick offside as Jackson was about a step ahead on the blue line there, so that's another offside here for the Battalion. 19-17 left in this third period.
We talk about that top line, Romani, Bloom, Jackson. They've had their opportunities, but they just haven't been able to find the back of the net so far. But they did. They were a big reason as to Petrov's first goal. So it's going to be interesting to see if either of them can kind of get the puck in the back of the net.
Well, it worked the last time these teams were these line was put together during the third period, and they resulted in a hat trick for Kyle McDonald. Bloom sends the shot in, goes wide of the net and bounces by the net. Back out to Hislop. Bloom picks it up in the neutral zone, gets it over to Christopoulos. Christopoulos loses it to Robinson. Robinson gets it over to Mania. Mania up the ice quickly. It's Walton who runs into Christopoulos. His stick breaks as those two collide. And now it's back into the neutral zone with Romani. Romani tries to send the puck in. Broussard plays it off to his defenseman. And that's going to go to Toure. Toure gains the zone and then some. Sends the puck around behind the Battalion end to Collins. Collins keeping it at the line. Sends it right back in. Now it's going to be Boudreau behind the net. Gets it back out to Toure at the point. Toure takes the shot. Hits Van Steensel. Knocks him to the ice. Van Steensel, you can tell he felt that one. Villeneuve tries to walk his way in, loses the puck to Wakely. And now it's back up looking for Van Steensel. That'll go for icing here. It's almost 2 minutes gone, 18:01 left in the third period, 1-1 game.
Yeah, we talk about getting offensive pressure. It looks like Sudbury's not allowing the Battalion here to focus. They kind of put themselves back on the heels. It's been kind of that neutral zone game so far between the two of them. And so far in the early points, both teams coming out firing, and that's going to be kind of an important note to look at as we continue in the early part of this period. But both these teams played very, very well defensively, and that's kind of been the big difference maker in the first 40 minutes.
26-15 shots on goal for the Battalion right now. Puck is sent in deep. Boudreau skating after it as the Wolves have had all the possession time here early in this period. Toure battling with Wakely. sends Wakely down to a knee before Zito tries to get the puck out, but Wakely gets to it and just sends it down into the Wolves zone and goes off for a change. Up to Ferran. Ferran to Toure. To Goyette. Goyette, who had the tying goal in the second period. Gets it to Zito. Petrov. To Ferran. Takes a shot there. That's off the iron somewhere by Anania. Now it's Zito. Over to Lucan. Lucan sends the puck down the ice. No icing coming there, though. And now it's Petrov. Gets it back to Winslow at the point. Winslow takes a weak shot. Turned aside by Broussard. Broussard saw that one all the way. Now Zito's battling with Yearwood. Knocks him to the ice. Back out to the point for Nelson. Nelson takes a slap shot. That one's blocked by Villeneuve. Back to Nelson at the point. Takes another shot. Broussard with the butterfly. Stops that one up solidly. 60-45 here. Still tied at 1.
Well, we're talking about the Battalion, and one of the things that they've got to start doing is trying to move Broussard east to west. A lot of their shots are going right into his body. We talked about how Sudbury's done a great job keeping them outside of that slot, but one of the things that they might need to do is, if they can't find that east to west game, is they might have to start getting some bodies in front of Broussard, get some point shots, get something in front of him to try and get some tips past him. But so far, he's been very good in the shots that come right at him and the saves that he needs to make.
He's very square to the shooters. That's one thing I noticed when I was in Sudbury, too, as we followed the offensive play in that game. So we'd move both ends of the ice. So you watched a lot of Broussard in front of you. A little bit of a go troops go chant starting here at the Gardens. As the puck's sent down to the Battalion zone, that'll go for icing. So the Battalion will have another offensive zone draw here in this third period.
Yeah, whenever you can get offensive chances here for the Battalion. Again, we talked about how important this game is for both of them, and you got to give a lot of credit to Sudbury. They played the Battalion very well in their last few games, and sometimes the Battalion kind of hurt themselves with their play, but overall, Sudbury's done a really good job when these two have met in their last 3 games, obviously coming away 1-1, and so far in this game, it's kind of the same way right now. With about 60 minutes left, it's still a tied game.
Another icing call there, and yeah, the Battalion really took it to the Wolves in the first game after the holiday break, but ever since then, they've been tight games, 1-goal games, or a loss to the Battalion and then a win in the shootout in Sudbury a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Derek McKenzie, who took over back in early November, has really turned this team around in the last 2 months or so, and he even said their last game when they played against Hamilton was their most complete game that they played since he took over. So
quickly back to McDonald off the faceoff. McDonald's shot whistled wide. Nelson's quick shot, it goes into the back of the net, and Kyle Jackson gives the Battalion a 2-1 lead as he was able to get that one from behind the net.
Well, that's what we needed right there. It's Kyle Jackson finally 5-on-5 goal. We talked about this top line outside of when McDonald has played with him, how good they have been, and what an absolute fantastic play by Jackson as he picks up kind of the puck from behind the boards and puts it in. And those are the kind of goals that the Battalion aren't really scoring when they're shooting right on Broussard. So sometimes you got to get those bounces to work. We've seen them use the boards to their advantage, and that's a perfect example of where that goes. And Jackson finally getting one to go by, and the Battalion now do what they do so well, which is hold leads in the third period, with the exception of that Hamilton game. For
Jackson, that's his 25th of the season. He's also getting up there as well on the point total, as he's still 7th, or that'll put him into 6th, actually. No, David Goyette got a point in this game as well, so they're both still tied at 7th or 6th in the league with 57 points each. But I guess you can't really be square to the shooter if it's coming from behind the net.
Exactly, and that's sometimes you have when the goalie's being hot and he seems like he's saving everything. Sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to change things up a little bit. The Battalion doing that, and they get rewarded.
DiVincentis playing the puck behind his net. His lob gives it back to Christopoulos. Christopoulos looking up ice. He skates it all the way down to the Wolves zone before Petrov gets it. Tarasevic takes the shot, and that one was just off the shoulder of Broussard. The Battalion seem to be buzzing a little bit now. Collins sends it in deep. Hislop's the first one on it behind his net, and it comes out in front of DiVincentis. He tried to knock it away with a stick, and it does get around to Tarasevic, but now the Battalion with possession in the Wolves zone before Zito lost it. And now it's Goyette battling with Hislop. Collins picks up the puck, gets it to Toure, to Christopoulos. Zito loses it. Now Goyette, who scored the first goal for the Wolves, sends across ice. Boudreau comes in and gets it. Boudreau gets it back to Bishop. Bishop's shot hits a couple of bodies and nearly found Goyette wide open. Now the Battalion going the other way. Romani with some speed takes a shot. It's knocked aside by Broussard. And Wakely chases it into the far side corner. Gets it back to Van Steensel. Wolves trying to get the puck out of their zone. Can't. Lucan keeps it in. Lucan skating behind his net. Taking hard into the boards. He's knocked down. Puck's back to the point for Kennedy. Kennedy sends that one in on net. It's back to Wakely now. Wakely just sends the puck in behind the net. It bounced out nearly out in front of Broussard's net. And now Bishop goes to after it with Ferran also in there as well. Ferran tried to chip it out. Lose the handle on it now to Bishop. And then the Wolves do get it back as Larmont, who got into a fight earlier with Lucan, sends the puck in. Took a bit of a weird bounce off the stanchion and nearly came out in front of DiVincentis' net. Wakely to Lucan. Lucan up ice quickly to Bloom. Bloom has a bit of an inside step, takes the shot. He picked his corner and he missed the net. He had it. He had Broussard. It looked beat, but he didn't have the right accuracy on that one. Bloom tries to shove the puck back up. Now DeGrazia skates out with it. Nelson with a good stick tries to knock it away from him. Anania cross ice to Larmont. Larmont takes the shot well wide of the net. Now it's Anania. Anania to McCallum. McCallum goes for a skate. Back at the point, gets it over to Anania, to Mania. Mania takes a shot. DiVincentis just gloves that one down. 13-17 left here. The Battalion lead 2-1 in the third period.
Well, Josh Bloom there on a really nice breakaway. Obviously just misses the net as he looks for his 6th goal in 6 games against Sudbury this season. But what was really impressive was the fact that he had a great back check, right after he scored that. He immediately made sure to get back into the zone and had a couple of good defensive plays to kind of break up any sort of play near around the blue line of the Battalion. And that's the kind of stuff that the Battalion do that's so good, and that makes them such a good defensive team.
We'll have to see if they're able to keep it going here. As the Battalion get the puck down the ice. We don't see Bouchard out there. It's Van Steensel taking another shift as he's out there with Procession and Terrien. Van Steensel picks up the puck, skates the puck in, takes a shot. It's off a stick and just went wide. Broussard may have gotten a piece of that one. Winslow gets the puck in the neutral zone and sends it back in. Mania up to Coughlin. Coughlin gets a stick on that one, so no icing against the Wolves. Nelson sends it up ice to Van Steensel. Van Steensel down the ice, chips it down for Terrien to chase after. Terrien goes into the corner with Mania. And now it's Van Steensel trying to battle to bring it back out front. Or Procession, rather. Going the other way, the Wolves get it up to DiVincentis. Hislop picks up the puck from his goalie, gives it to Christopoulos, over to Tarasevic. Back over to Hislop. Procession to Toure. Now it's knocked in. Christopoulos gets it up ice and down to Tarasevic. Tarasevic stopping at the near side half wall. Looks to get it in. Zito with a good tip. Couldn't get it past Broussard though, as Broussard had to be sharp on that one. Collins can't get past Hislop at the red line in the neutral zone. Then Tarasevic now going back the other way into the Wolves zone. Tarasevic taken into the corner. He's knocked down. Puck on underneath him somewhere, as a couple of players are whacking at it. Now going the other way, the Wolves get around it as is Goyette. Goyette tried to pick his corner again, but Christopoulos blocks that one. Saying we saw that movie earlier today, we don't need to see a sequel. Now back to Anania. Anania going for a skate behind his net. Skates it through the neutral zone. Gets it back in deep. Now battling with Lucan as Ferran comes in and takes the puck. Ferran looks to go up front, can't get it to go. And now it's Van Steensel. Van Steensel tried to get Romani on the breakaway. His pass just hit a body in front. Now Van Steensel skates in. His stick just explodes in his hands. That's twice now we've seen the Battalion with sticks just exploding on shots or passes. Goyette takes another shot. That one goes wide of the net as he picks it back up. Gives it back to Chromiak, but Chromiak couldn't keep the line. Hand pass now for the Wolves. And that'll get called down at the neutral zone as Chromiak knocked it down with his hand and McCallum touched it. 10:41 left here in the third period, 2-1 Battalion lead.
Well, we talked about how important David Goyette's going to be for the Sudbury Wolves team. He's already had a couple of opportunities in this third, but with Quentin Musty out for the foreseeable future, at least as he gets back from surgery on that infection on his hand, Goyette's going to be a big, he's going to have to kind of do double the time almost to make up for Musty being gone. And obviously both of them such a big part of the goal scoring for the Wolves. And so far Goyette up to the task. He's already gotten one in this game and has looked very close to getting a couple more.
Getting some chirps online as well. Don't really appreciate you calling out my announcer for his sexual preferences. That's not very good. Alexander Graham Bell, thank you very much. Mania skating through. Sends the puck in deep. DiVincentis gives it to Winslow. Winslow to Bloom. Bloom trying to get it back up. And now it's back to Robinson. Robinson tried to take the shot. Nelson was there to block it, but he was able to get around Nelson. And now just under 10 minutes to go here in the third period. Battalion still lead 2-1. Mania up to McCallum. McCallum skates the puck in, leaves it, takes a shot, couldn't get it to go. That was Walton, and now Tarasevich is going the other way. Back up to McCallum. McCallum takes the shot. DiVincentis pounces on that one, and that's going to stop that, and we're going to reach our mid-period break here as the Battalion lead 2-1 here in the third period. We'll hear from Derek Linneman on the other side of this.
This period is brought to you by Canada Alumni Perks. Get information on special events and news or access the alumni job portal. Visit canadacollege.ca/perks for more information.
And we're back here. Derek, between the benches, how's it going right now here in the third period since the Battalion took the lead?
It's quite down with the chatter in between the two teams, looking to try and take away the points here. Both teams looking for a victory here right now. Kyle Jackson put the Battalion up with his goal there. A little bit of a lucky bounce as he was trying to center that pass in from behind the net. It's just hitting the back of Broussard going in to make it the go-ahead goal right now. But the Battalion has moved Kyle McDonald back up to the first unit, joining Bloom and Jackson on the top line. And Romani is back down on the third line currently. Battalion trying to get some offense here and close this out this afternoon.
Well, they need to get something going and see here if they can continue to hold the lead here in this third period for the next 9:34. How do you see the spirits on the benches?
Battalion really focused, trying to make sure that they can hold on to this victory here tonight. They know they've been in a slump, and they're looking to end that as they lost their last two games. And the Sudbury Wolves just trying to find some way to pick up the pace and get that equalizer.
All right, Derek, we'll hear from you as the period moves on, and of course in our post-game show, as the Battalion are ready to get things going again here with 9.5 minutes left in this third period. Toure sends it over to Collins. Gets it over to Konyan. Konyan battling with Zito, but Zito comes away with it. Tarasevich back to Zito. And Zito tried to feed it back across the ice. No one was there, and Villeneuve comes away with it. Konyan now skates it into the Battalion zone to Toure. And now Nelson gets the backhander and sends it back down the ice for Collins to chase after into his own zone. Collins skates the puck back up, sends it down the ice, and that's going to go for icing against the Battalion here with 8:49 left in the period.
Well, so far a pretty even period between both these teams, as there's been kind of opportunities on both sides, but the Battalion, we talk about how good they are when they have leads, and again, we looked at Hamilton where that was kind of an outlier, and this game as well, they've shown that they've had great defensive opportunities, and they've really shown that they're locking this game down so far in the first, since about 10 minutes since that last goal. So they're really doing a good job here locking it down. They got to continue that offensive pressure and wait until maybe they get an opportunity for an empty net goal.
Well, we've seen the Battalion in years past used to play to lock the game down in the third period. Doesn't feel like they're not trying to score. It just feels like they are doing a good job clamping down defensively. Armand up to Villeneuve. Gets the puck into the Battalion zone, but McDonald picks it up quickly. McDonald up to Bloom. Over to Hislop. Hislop goes cross ice to Christopoulos. Christopoulos to Bloom. He's going to send that one down the length of the ice. Over to McDonald. Back to Bloom. Bloom on the far side corner. Gives it to McDonald. Trying to get it out to Jackson. Can't get it to go though. And Bloom has to chase after it. Now going the other way is DeGrazia. DeGrazia leaves the puck in the near side corner. Bloom comes in and picks it up, and now Jackson gets it up to McDonald. McDonald through the neutral zone. Tries to get around Chromiak, and he does, but he can't get by Anania. Now the puck's up to Goyette quickly in the at the red line in the neutral zone. McDonald sends the puck down cross ice. Procession chases after it. Procession to Van Steensel. Van Steensel tried to get around one guy, got it to Procession though. And then Van Steensel sends it back behind the net. Terrian hauled down, no call coming on that one as there was just a couple of bodies coming together. And now Terrian chases after the net, or after the puck behind the net, with Van Steensel coming out and grabbing it. Van Steensel trying to backhand it out front, couldn't get it to go. And now Kennedy pinching in, keeps the puck back in as the Battalion have kept the Wolves hemmed in their zone for a minute or so. 7 minutes left in the third period. Troops lead 2-1. And now it's cross ice for Lermont, but he still can't keep it in as Procession takes a bit of a hit there by Lermont. Terrian skates it in, leaves it behind the net, gets it, tries to find Procession out in the high slot, couldn't get him though. And now Goyette's off to the races, although he has 2 battalions still to beat. Lucan. And there they do beat Lucan as Lucan got out of position trying to take off Goyette, but they couldn't get the shot away as Ferran wasn't able to get the handle on it. Down the ice now to Robinson. Robinson up to Goyette. In for McCallum. McCallum gets it out front. Can't his pass to Boudreau. And Boudreau looked to get it back to McCallum, but couldn't get the pass to go. Zito up ice to Petrov. Petrov leaves it for Zito, but that'll be judged offside here in the third as 6:19 left here in this final frame.
Just shows you how much they really respect David Goyette as they try to double team between Lucan and Kennedy, and of course, Lucan forgetting about the trailer there coming up behind, almost a glorious opportunity. And we see the Wolves also in that last rush doing something that the Battalion usually do, which is make one too many passes as try to get it back to McCallum, which obviously not there to receive the pass. And Sudbury's, they've got to get something going here in the next 6 minutes if they want to try to tie this hockey game, and so far the Battalion have not let them do that.
If they did get it to McCallum, it would have been a grade A chance for sure, but they weren't able to. It was a good stick, kept the pass from going from Boudreau. Robinson in his own zone gets it back to Mania. Mania can't get past the stick of Petrov, but they do eventually get it down the ice to DiVincentis. Now it's in the near side corner, or far side corner in the Battalion zone. Coming away with it. That's Boudreau. Gets it back to the point for Mania. Mania takes a quick shot. That puck bounced past the net. McCallum takes a sharp angle shot. DiVincentis pounces on that one. So we'll get another stoppage here with 5:42 left here in this third period.
Something we saw Sudbury do really well that we pointed out a couple of times is their ability to keep the puck on the outside of the defensive zone, and that's exactly what the Battalion are doing there, giving no opportunity as DiVincentis can make an easy save. And that's one of the things that DiVincentis, one thing that makes him a great goaltender outside of just making a lot of the normal saves that you should make, which is, even at this league, is something that comes at a premium sometimes with how young and how these guys are still developing. But he also does really well in front of this defense, and the defense is a big reason why he is how high of a in the rankings that he is right now, as they really go hand in hand.
Really have, as DiVincentis makes a good kick stop on that one. And Zito sends the puck down the ice, hits the big Jumbotron in the middle of the ice, and that'll be blown dead and out of play.
Obviously the Jumbotron a little bit lower here in Memorial Gardens, as we saw that last game too, as Ty Nelson did the exact same thing, but it'll be very interesting to see how the Battalion answer here defensively. Looks like they send out
Jackson. Back to Hislop. Hislop can't clear the zone as Goyette keeps it in. And now it's Lermont who has to chase after it into his own zone. Lermont up to Robinson. Robinson skates it back into his own zone, leaves it for Mania. Mania skates it into the Battalion zone. Skates around, tried to get it out front. His centering pass for Lermont, but nobody. So now Robinson has to pick it up in the Wolves zone. I'll have to keep an eye on you, on Broussard for you with 5 minutes here left in the third period. And the Troops up 2-1. Goyette goes cross ice. McCallum with a quick shot. Can't get it on net though. And now chasing after it. Back to the point is Toure. Toure takes a shot. Van Steensel stopped that one. Robinson takes another one. And then a chance got in on DiVincentis. And then the rebound. Thought he had it, but instead it came out front. Now Goyette with a shot. It's turned aside by DiVincentis. How did that one not go in? My goodness, Dom DiVincentis doing his part here late in the third period as he just jumps on the puck and stops that one dead with 4.5 minutes left here in the third.
Goyette's trying to do everything that he can to try to tie this game up, and DiVincentis with the best save that he's made all afternoon as he absolutely sprawls out to save on a pretty rare mistake defensively for the Battalion so far in the second half of this hockey game. And DiVincentis looking very, very sharp as he's 20 saves on 21 shots, and both goaltenders really showing a really good showing this afternoon, which I think, especially when you look at Broussard coming off that kind of poor performance against Niagara where he's pulled after about 23 minutes or so of ice time, really coming back well, and DiVincentis doing what he always does for the Battalion, and which is kind of needed after kind of a sloppier performance from Robertson against Mississauga.
Definitely giving them the stability they need as he had to deal with some equipment issues there after the whistle. So we're just getting underway again here to the far side in the Battalion zone from the broadcast booth. And now it's Bloom and Nelson. Nelson gets it up to Bloom, who leaves it for Jackson. Jackson back over to Bloom. Quick one-touch pass over to McDonald, and he can't handle it in the zone, so the Wolves pick possession back up. Watching Broussard now with 4 minutes left as the Wolves go down the ice. Villeneuve taken down. And that's going to be, they're going to get a penalty here against the Battalion. I thought they were maybe taking Broussard because at first it looked like they were wanting the penalty and then they weren't going to get it. And then Broussard ran off to the bench, so I thought he was going off. But turns out, no, it is indeed a penalty as Bloom's going to go and sit for 2 minutes or less.
Yeah, Bloom a pretty textbook trip there as he gets the stick, as he gets beaten by Broussard and then gets the stick right into his foot. So we'll see what the best penalty kill can do. They had a very good penalty kill early in the game, and the good news is by the time this power play is over, there'll be 2:04 left. So the Battalion a chance to kill off some great time from the clock as well.
McCallum with the puck. Gets it back to the point for Mania. Mania in for McCallum. McCallum back to DeGrazia. DeGrazia's shot blocked by Lucan. And now Tarasevic comes away with the puck and sends it down the length of the ice. Broussard out to play the puck. 3:40 left in this third period. 1:35 left on the man advantage here for the Wolves as Bloom sits. DeGrazia gets it in the Battalion zone. Can't get it past Christopoulos though. Now the puck is up on the far side wall as they shift things around. Now Zito's going to have a chance here shorthanded. Pasquale Zito down the ice, loses the handle on it, and now Mania goes the other way. Mania into the Battalion zone. Gets it back to the point for McCallum, but he loses it to Tarasevic. Tarasevic gains the neutral zone, and he's just going to bring the puck all the way down to the Wolves zone with a minute left on the man advantage and just over 3 minutes left here in the third period. 2-1 lead. Broussard still has yet to leave his net. And here comes Villeneuve, leaves it for Ferrand, and now Van Steensel picks it up, looks up ice. He had McDonald, but instead decided to dump it down the ice. And the Battalion are going to change defensive pairings here real quick. 40 seconds left on the clock now. 2:45 left in this third period. McCallum knocked down by Hislop from behind. And Van Steensel now skates into the Wolves zone with the puck. A good stick there by Robinson keeps the puck from getting to Broussard's net with Van Steensel. And now it's going to go the other way to Larmont. Armand up to McCallum, can't gain the zone again. The Wolves having all types of fits here against the Battalion in this game, trying to gain the zone. And now McDonald skates the puck down. He's in alone on Broussard, takes a shot. What a save by Broussard. Then Broussard stretches out to make a secondary chance. And wow, McDonald robbed twice there. McCallum gets it up to Tarasevic. Tarasevic now loses it at the blue line. We're back to 5-on-5 as Christopoulos carries it into the Wolves zone, takes the shot. That one just misses Broussard's net. Zito loses it over to Lucan. Lucan sends the puck in cross ice. Now Tarasevic is going to have to go after it. Battling with Robinson. 1:40 left here on the clock as we get another chant of Go Troops Go here late in this third period with a 2-1 lead. Procession loses it, and now it's going the other way as DeGrazia. DeGrazia stops up, tries to get it out front for Ferran. He couldn't get a stick on the ice to tip it. And now it's back to Goyette with Tarasevic, who is behind him. Now we do have the net empty, so the Wolves do have the man advantage, 6-on-5. Jackson takes the chip down the ice and sends it all the way down to the Wolves zone. Collins gets to it before it could be deemed icing. Minute 10 here left on the clock as the Wolves try to regroup. Boudreau to Goyette. Goyette, cross ice for Boudreau. Boudreau taken down by Nelson, and now the Wolves get it back to the point. Mania to Goyette. Goyette takes the shot. That one's blocked by Hislop. Hislop chipping away in the corner as the Wolves try to get it out, and they do, but it gets back to Petrov, who just sends it back into the Battalion zone. Now, the Wolves have some issues here. Collins is going to have to chase after it, but that'll go for icing with Bloom that was right after it. 36.9 seconds left on the clock. And the Battalion have the 2-1 lead with the Wolves having the net empty.
Well, Bloom kind of gave up a little bit right at the end. I think he thought that he would beat out the icing, potentially. But yeah, unfortunately for the Battalion, this comes all the way back. They might be calling in timeout here, I believe, as the referees are putting together, or they might be looking at something. But either way, what a great job by the Battalion right after that penalty, keeping a lot of offensive zone pressure, not really allowing the Sudbury Wolves to even get Broussard off the ice until about 1:20 left in the game. And then when they were in there, it felt like David Goyette was going to get something going, because of anybody right now for Sudbury to try to tie this up, it would be him, and the Battalion able to shut him down, as it does look like they're calling it timeout.
So timeout for Sudbury as they use their timeout here. 2-1 lead. The Battalion also lead 34-21 on the shot clock as well.
It'll be interesting to see who they bring out for this defensive zone faceoff. This is going to be probably the biggest draw right now of this game. If the Battalion can win it, that's going to put a lot of hamper on Sudbury's comeback dreams, as DiVincentis, what a game for him. 20 saves, 21 shots. Not a lot of shots, but he seems like he's been busy tonight, and he's made all the saves he's had to make outside of that one snipe from David Goyette back in the second period. And he made one beautiful save earlier in the period, and really one of the big reasons, especially in that first period, as to why we're where we are right now.
Well, and that was the goal scorer's goal by Goyette for sure. So it looks like it'll be Matvey Petrov coming in to take the draw on the far side face-off dot in the Battalion zone. We'll have to get a reset here, as the linesman didn't like how that went. So Petrov and Lerman once again in for the draw. No, they're bringing in McCallum. And now we get the scorer's booth here calling over the referees just to make sure they get the timing right, because they might have let a second go on the clock.
Yeah, Battalion maybe getting a bit of a break on that one, as it looked like LeMan won the draw pretty cleanly, and we're going to set up, do it again, as the referee thought it was an unfair advantage for Sudbury.
So it looks like Ferran and Petrov are going to be the ones here going for the draw. But the referee keeps coming back over to the scorer's booth. So we'll have to see, and now he's going to go and skate over and talk to the Wolves bench.
Yeah, maybe he's just double-checking something to do with time there, but it looks like everybody's okay, as now he's talking to the Battalion bench.
Yeah, it was almost 2 seconds that went on the clock. It was 35.9. It's back up to 37.9.
Sure, Ryan Deland was not too worried?
No, you want those 2 seconds gone either way, but we'll see how it goes here as Petrov loses the draw. And now it's back to the point for Goyette. Goyette in deep to DeGrazia. And now Petrov picks up the puck and sends it down the length of the ice. That will go for icing, but it just narrowly missed the net for an empty net goal by Matvey Petrov.
Well, Petrov makes a very good defensive play in that high slot. That was almost a golden opportunity, as two Wolves players were there looking to get a really clean scoring opportunity. I think with Petrov, I would have liked to see him not make that an icing call, but it looks like maybe he kind of treated it like he was on the penalty kill a little bit there. So
looks like we're going to get another timeout here. This time it'll probably go for the Battalion.
Yeah, but either way, it's that's all you can do as a Battalion player, is just keep those high-scoring situations out and trust DiVincentis that he's going to make the saves that he needs to make. And they love doing that, as he's obviously one, if not the best goaltender in the Ontario Hockey League this season, and he shows you why almost day in and day out.
Yeah, you definitely have to have faith in your goaltender here. It was a very quick conference of the Battalion bench here, as Bill Holder basically I had a few things to say to them, and they've gone back right away before the timeout was even done. And now we have Collins coming over to the referees to talk to them as well. This is probably the longest final minute I've seen in a long time here.
Yeah, it sounds like an NBA game almost with the way this
Yeah.
is going.
You would have thought it was Golden State and Toronto back in 2019. Jackson wins the draw back into the corner. Nelson gets to it. Now Christopoulos just plays it up against the boards. And now we get a scrum. 19 seconds left on the clock. Christopoulos does come away with it. Fans on his clearing attempt. But he does get it down, but it hits someone on the bench. So it is out of play. 12.9 seconds left on the clock. 2-1 Battalion lead.
Well, Battalion holding that puck, just trying to kill some time, but they got a little lucky as David Goyette was right at that high slot. Nobody was covering him. If he would have gotten a pass from behind the goal line, we've seen Petrov score a couple of goals like that. He would have had an absolute beautiful chance on DiVincentis, so they're going to have to be a little bit more careful with who's in the high slot area, but a huge face-off here for Jackson if he can go 2 for 2.
Jackson tries, but the Battalion do come away with possession first, but they can't get it to go as Mania. Cross ice to Goyette. Goyette takes the shot. He just missed the corner, and the puck's going to go down the length of the ice, so that'll do it here. The Battalion come away with a hard-fought 2-1 win over the Sudbury Wolves here at North Bay Memorial Gardens, as Mania has a few words for Jackson as well at the end of the game. And now we have Van Steensel going down the ice, so it must be a milestone victory of some sorts for either DiVincentis or Coach Ryan Houlihan as he goes to pick up the puck. And now Mania has words for Van Steensel as well, so the Wolves not very happy with how this game happened for sure, but it's still a 2-1 victory for the troops. They pick up the 2 points, and that'll do it for the game portion of our broadcast.
Yeah, and overall, a very solid game for the Battalion. They played great defensively. Offensively had their chances, but they still walk away with a much-needed victory going up against Windsor on Thursday.
It'll be an interesting game for sure. That'll do it for me on the broadcast, although I'm sure people at home are pretty happy with my monotone leaving. So, with that being said, I'm Courtney Kenny. He's Ben Sargent. Derek Lindemann will rejoin for the post-game show. And I'd love to say, as always, keep your eye on the front line, but who knows at this point.
Average Joe's Eatery and Patio Bar is North Bay's only year-round lakefront restaurant. On the shores of beautiful Trout Lake, we have been serving delicious food and stunning views since 1999. Indulge in one of our delicious menu items, or simply sit with a cocktail in hand and watch the beauty of Trout Lake before your eyes. Check us out online at averagejoes.net or visit us in person at 3501 Trout Lake Road, North Bay.
As a Canadore College alumni, you have access to perks. Canadore Alumni Perks. This is a lifetime membership that includes special access to great offers, opportunities to get involved, and so much more. Graduates can access discounts and special offers from businesses and hotels locally, across Canada, and internationally. Get information on special events and news, or access the alumni job portal. Keep in touch with Canadore's alumni office. Visit canadorecollege.ca/perks. Great things happen here.
You rely on your vehicle to take you to the places that matter most to you. So bring your vehicle to the team you can rely on to keep it running at its best. Dave's Automotive Services. Whether you're getting your car or truck ready for the season with a tire change, making sure you're safe on the road with an inspection and certification, or doing your due diligence to keep your vehicle in tip-top shape with regular maintenance, Dave's Automotive Services has you covered. Expert troubleshooting, quality repairs, and time-efficient labor are the 3 stars of service you can expect when you bring your car or truck to Dave's Automotive Services at 411 Airport Road. Call 705-478-5544 and book your appointment today.
The Frontline Podcast, Season 3. Courtney Kenny, Matthew Sucrum, Derek Lindemann, Bob Coles, and Ben Long bring you closer to your favorite teams like never before. Covering everything to do with hockey in the North Bay area, exclusive interviews with the North Bay Battalion staff and players, expert analysis on the OHL, NOJHL, and more, keeping you up to date on all things Voodoos, Trappers, Lakers, and more. It's a new season, it's a new adventure. The Frontline Podcast Season 3. Available wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
And we're back here inside Memorial Gardens as the North Bay Battalion have defeated the Sudbury Wolves 2-1 here. Taking a look at the scoring summary in the third period, it was 1-1 going into that period, and then Kyle Jackson with the game winner at .350, his 25th of the season from Ty Nelson, and Kyle McDonald giving the Battalion that 2-1 victory. Only one penalty in the third period. Josh Bloom went off for tripping at 15:56. Shots on goal, the Sudbury Wolves 6 in the third for a game total of 21. North Bay Battalion 9 for a game total of 34. Power plays, both teams were 0-4 on the night. The Wolves 0-2. Meanwhile, the Battalion 0-4. Taking a look around the out-of-town scoreboard. Some finals to report as the Guelph Storm have defeated the Kingston Frontenacs 6-2. In London, the Knights fall to the Kitchener Rangers 5-2. The Mississauga Steelheads have defeated the Niagara Ice Dogs 5-4 in a final as the Ottawa 67s fall to the Owen Sound Attack 4-1. Just getting underway in the first period. The Erie Otters lead the Flint Firebirds 2-0, and the late game tonight sees the Oshawa Generals host the Windsor Spitfires. Let's take a look at our 3 stars of service as they are brought to you by Dave's Automotive.
Tonight's 3 stars is brought to you by Dave's Automotive Services, 411 Airport Road in North Bay. Expert troubleshooting, quality repairs, and time-efficient labor are the 3 stars of service you can expect from Dave's.
All 3 stars are from the North Bay Battalion. 3rd star tonight, Dom DiVincentis making 20 saves in the victory for the battalion. 2nd star with 1 goal, Matvey Petrov. And the 1st star with a goal and assist, Kyle Jackson. Well, Ben Sargent, a victory for the battalion. Not what we were looking for tonight, but a close game, and the battalion do get the winner on a bounce as Jackson scores from behind the net.
Yeah, and if you're the battalion, the one thing you have to be happy about this game is you have to be happy about your defensive effort in the last 2 periods. They played very well defensively. They didn't really give a lot of opportunities away. They maybe had 1 or 2 bad plays, but after a sloppy first period, they locked it down for the next 40 minutes. The one thing you're not looking forward to is kind of poor offensive showing this afternoon. Only 2 goals. They've had a lot of opportunities, especially in that first period, and they've had an issue finishing in the last couple of games. But overall, you have to look at that Ottawa loss, so now they're only 2 points behind the 67s after the win here. And we talk again about those extra points. They add up. If they would have won against Mississauga, they would now be tied. If they would have won against Hamilton, they would have been leading. So there's a lot of these things that they don't seem like a big deal in a vacuum, but when you put them together, when you add them all up, it kind of becomes a big deal. And that's kind of the way it is. But at the end of the day, you've got to be happy with the 2-1 win and what I think was a very good defensive game. And I think you've got to be relatively happy with how you've played versus the last 2 games going into that Windsor game.
And one of those defensive standouts, Dom DiVincentis, your goaltender, has to make some big saves when it's timely, and he did that right in the 3rd period as he went from his right to left, got a pad on a David Goyette shot that was destined for that wide open cage.
Yeah, and you had a feeling that David Goyette, if there was anybody who was going to tie this game in that 3rd period, it was David Goyette, as he had a couple of absolutely awesome opportunities, and of course right at the buzzer basically he misses that top blocker side of DiVincentis, but he would play absolutely fantastic. Yes, only 21 shots, but I think that he really held his own. And the one thing that DiVincentis does that is kind of rare in this league is that he saves pretty much anything that should be saved. Obviously, again, with these goalies still developing, there are some goals, and we've seen this with Robertson the other day, where against Mississauga, where there were a couple of goals that went to his glove side that he should have had. And DiVincentis, the one thing he'll always do is he'll make the saves that he makes, and when his defense plays really good in front of him, he looks very, very, very good.
And the battalion this time getting on the right side of a lucky bounce as Kyle Jackson banks the game winner off the back of Kevin Brassard.
Yeah, they weren't able to get a lot of good opportunities on Brassard this afternoon. There was a lot of shots that ended up just kind of going right at him. They didn't get a lot of east-west play. Their passing wasn't super crisp in the offensive zone, but those are the kind of goals that sometimes when you're being unlucky, you need a little bit of luck to get you back into it, and that's what it did. And if that wasn't the case, we'd probably be going to overtime right now.
Exactly, and things don't get easy as the Windsor Spitfires make their only appearance next Thursday in the Memorial Gardens, as that will be the first time that we're going to see the Windsor Spitfires on home ice. It's the only time, of course, but it's Alex Christopoulos and Shane Wright leading the charge into North Bay to take on the battalion.
Yeah, and it's going to be really fun. We're also going to see a former Sudbury Wolf there as well, Jacob Holmes, who has six assists in his first 8 games since the trade, around the trade deadline when he landed there from Sudbury. So it's going to be very, very interesting, I think, going into that hockey game, but I expect it to be very good. Of course, if Windsor wins tonight, both teams are going to go in with 62 points, tied for second in the Ontario Hockey League.
That will be the next broadcast here on the front line, as the Windsor Spitfires will be in North Bay to take on the North Bay Battalion, but it's the Battalion that win tonight. They come out with a 2-1 victory over the Sudbury Wolves. For Ben Long, Ben Sargent, Courtney Kenny, I'm Derek Lindemann. So long from Memorial Gardens.
Meals are a special time for families to gather, share their day, and spend quality time together. Those dinners are made extra special when you add tropical produce found in the markets and grocery stores that carry La Huerta imports. La Huerta knows the importance of family, so they know which quality products make the best quality meals for your customers, whether it be Mexican Hass avocados, Brazilian figs, Ecuadorian red dragon fruit, or something just as exotic and special. To get your supply of the best tropical produce at competitive prices with brands buyers trust, contact La Huerta Imports at 705-752-1478.
Community engagement is one of our core focuses at McDonald's. The key is finding the right people who are passionate about the same things we are, helping kids be kids. McDonald's proudly supports local organizations such as the North Bay Regional Health Center Foundation, Big Brothers Big Sisters, One Kids Place, the Children's Aid Society, and Ronald McDonald House Charities. Stop by McDonald's on 1500 Fisher Street, North Bay, to see how we can serve you and the community every day.
Hey there, I'm Mike the Financial Advisor. When you strip it down to its core and you take away all the industry jargon, I help people solve financial concerns. So if you're concerned that you'll never save enough to retire comfortably, or that your kid is going to graduate post-secondary $40,000 in debt, or maybe even that life is going to take a really unfortunate sideways turn and somebody is going to have to open a GoFundMe page for you and your family, I can help you prevent all of those things from happening. If you want to see how, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Just do a search for Mike the Financial Advisor. You should find me.